Well, none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots, yeah. None of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots. I'm telling you now, the truth. Telling you, yeah, the truth, the truth. You have to go back to the roots, Go to the roots, Yeah, man, you know, this is Benjamin out of the Smiling Coast, West Africa, Gambia, representing for the one and only Abu, the big man you don't know, the Soninke warrior, the man that brings the truth, Soninke warrior, the sign of enlightenment, the Soninke warrior, the righteous and the true African. Abu, reveal the truth to them, you know, no matter how them try run from it, because none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Yes, we have to dig back the roots, yeah. Fire!
Subscribe now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Afridamus Report. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Afridamus Report. I'm your host, Afridamus. Guys, if you're new here, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. But before I start this program, I want to say this right here, for some people who are probably new here, I've done several videos on this very topic. And how did this topic come about? Because you see, many people like to talk about like African corruption in vague terms, especially Africans. And when these quote unquote Pan-African movements started, well, you know, Black people from the diaspora, I'm talking about the UK, America, you know, the Caribbeans also. People have this fantasy about Africa, the utopian Africa. You know, this is how I knew many of these people were delusional when sometimes I would join the panel, right? As a native African, you know, born and bred. When I try to explain the position and how Africa really is, many of the people, they don't want to hear it. So I was like, wait, something is off. Why are these people deliberately choosing to be ignorant about this? Or maybe there is a motive. But regardless, I kept talking about the topics because you see, I am very interested in how people think, because I see that what they are selling, what they are promoting, and the African psychology, what I know and how the African thinks, is the opposite way. And that brings us to, you know, a young Black American named Mark Meets Africa. He's young, 21 years old, which, you know, many a times, like many of you that travel to the Western world at that age, you will understand, but it's the opposite. Because you see, for Black Americans, they don't even understand the privilege they have being born and raised in America. I used to, if you go back, check out my previous videos, I would speak about these facts, and there are people who would literally get upset, right? They would be upset, but they don't understand, like, an African individual's plight. Africans face real plight because a Black British, a Black American, no matter what, they have freedom of movement. They don't have to line up at any embassy to look for visa. Africans go, even some of these YouTubers, they make videos about this where they would say, oh, Africans are lining up trying to come to America. Yes, because of the opportunity. And many don't seem to, you know, understand and grab that. I'm like, no, how you're seeing things and the people you're talking to, what you are saying and their condition doesn't match. Those two don't work. And also, I have been preaching this. I have been saying this religiously that nobody, I mean, no one can save Africans but Africa. And also, I came to this conclusion also that I said, maybe, just maybe, you know, Africans do things a certain way, and these ways are definitely not progressive. So now you are coming with your idea of how things are supposed to be. You see, there's a difference. You might look at something, how it's supposed to be or not, like you give it your own projection, right? Now, that's not going to match the people that you're trying to get to implement this. Many Africans themselves, many Africans themselves, you know, talk about African corruption. You know, I know where I stand on this because you see clearly, I am the same individual that talk about, how America is the greatest country on this side of heaven. I'm the one that have the balls to say this. Most all of you know this, but you don't dare say it because you're a hypocrite. People don't want to admit to it. Just like the African corruption. Every African social media you go to the African countries, we ourselves, we see this quote unquote what people refer to as corruption. But again, at some point, when you go to an environment, don't you think the meaning of words change based on the condition of that environment? Or the people that run that environment, how they understand this to be? Just a thought. Maybe don't you think you should, look at it from a different perspective? Because sometimes when you do that, it does save you. One thing I know in Africa, in fact, I don't want to do spoiler alert. I will get into that in a minute. But before I start analyzing this video, it is a video, you know, from Go Black to Africa. So Go Black has a conversation with Mark Meets Africa. Mark, like I said, young guy, right? So Mark Meets Africa has had this ambition, and I think he still does, like many other Black people that have been going to Africa. The fantasy in the beginning, the Pan-African movement, people saying they are going to go save Africa. We've been hearing this, right? So Mark also used to believe, I've seen some of his videos. He believed he wanted to save Africa. I understand his ambition. I get where he is coming from. Trust me, guys. I totally get it. I get where he's coming from because, see, if you're from the United States of America, advanced country, things are easy. You see, when you apply for documents like that is your right, like let's say driver's license, you just go and apply, you do the requirements, and you get it. You don't need to bribe somebody. I mean, in any system, I'm sure some people do cracks, but it's not a thing here in the United States, right? It's not that common. So you go to other places. Now, you're used to the American system. You now all of a sudden think things are supposed to be that way everywhere. Just because those people are putting on that label to say we are a governmental institution. You have to factor in a whole bunch of things. And these things are not based in fantasy. These are based in reality. But let's find out, what does the English language even what's the meaning of corruption? What is the meaning of corruption? And then we will address, the psychology and, why people feel so disappointed when they have this idea about Africa, right? And then they become disappointed about what is right in front of them instead of learning the game and understanding the game, understanding the relationships. Well, it's very interesting. The conversation between Mark and Go Black is very interesting. Look, I believe in growth. This is why I am not one of those people who's a stickler. This I've seen one guy wrote in a chat before. Oh, I am so disappointed in Afridamus when I saw him supporting Tariq Nasheed. What people don't realize is when I do a video and I criticize what someone says, it doesn't mean I hate the person. It doesn't mean that person cannot be right. So when I, you know, criticize Tariq Nasheed, that doesn't mean that when Tariq Nasheed is correct as well, I am not going to, emphasize that point. So when I am a critic of a video, it doesn't mean I hate the individual because I believe in growth. I know if an African person who is very open-minded comes to the US, who's willing to explore and learn, if you meet that African in year 1 versus year 3, the person would be different. By year 5, the thinking is completely different because the person have acquired so much knowledge. Imagine you when you were new, or people still want to hold all the ignorant things that you've said or done. They want to hold it against you. Imagine that. It won't work. So this is why for me, I believe in growth. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna, analyze where we are at that particular, time. So I see the growth in Go Black. Because you see, if you listen to how he speaks about certain things in the past and now is different. Because you see, in America, you can just criticize the government, you can shame them, do whatever. That doesn't work in Africa. It doesn't work. You can say whatever you want on the internet, you can try to shame them. They know most of the population don't even they're not going to waste their Wi-Fi to watch that. And even if they do, what can they do? You see? So at some point, you have to meet people exactly where they are. You cannot force a system or a way of thinking onto other people that they know nothing about. It's not going to work. As much as you feel so great about how you see things to be, trust me, if this other person doesn't see it that way, it's not going to work. So you have to live by example, you have to study people, and you have to accept people for who they are. How can you be upset at someone for them presenting to you who they truly are? That will help you how to, navigate and deal with these individuals. But many Black people, Black Americans, they don't realize this privilege they have in America until they try to test it. And they will test it openly. It's like they see it as a God-given right. It's like a white woman mentality, a Becky mentality. It's like, this is the service I get in my suburb, and boom, here it is. Look, I enjoy American customer care service. Best customer service care ever. But you see, when I went to Gambia, the country where I'm from, because I've lived in America for a while. So I'm so used to being in America, being an American. So I get how these people think because I understand. When I got to Gambia, I went to a bank. Usually, the banks I'm used to in America, they are nice to you, they deal with you nicely. And in America, to openly discriminate against someone, no matter how messed up the person is, they would do it secretly. They wouldn't do it openly, though. So I'm at the bank and I come in, I'm in front of this woman, and she tells me that she wasn't going to serve me. I was like, why? She said, because you don't have a mask on. And I was like, wait a minute, ma'am. I said, everybody else don't have a mask on. I said, the bank employees don't have a mask on. The woman sitting right next to you don't have a mask on. So I'm used to the American way. Like my mind is blown. I'm like, how dare this woman don't have shame to try to single me out and apply the law on just me. Just me. And I'm looking around, the people there, nobody was outraged by what is happening. You know, it was normal to them. And then, see, I'm a fast thinker. And then it hit me fast. I was like, oh, I am not in America. I forgot. I'm in Africa. Let me play this the African way. You know, I said, these people, this is normal to them. So it means Africans themselves, it is normal to them right in front of you for you to be singled out and a law to be applied just unto you, and the other people are not going to see it as unjust. They clearly picked on me, discriminated against me. No problem. So when you go to places, you have to study how they perceive things. They might say they want justice, but are these just people? When they are given the level of power, do they dish out justice? No. For whatever reason, that woman just hated on me, for whatever reason. But you know what I did? Because this woman insisted that she will not serve me. She will not serve me if I don't put on a mask. But when I was there, wherever I travel, I carry my backpack with me and I carry clothes in it, just in case. So what I did, I was like, so ma'am, so I wanted to make sure, because you see, with Africans, when you're having this dispute, they want to use power on you, you have to think ahead of time because you don't want to, enter into a tug of war. So you want to make sure you get their word and everybody hears it. So I was like, okay, so I don't have a mask. If I find anything else, can I use it as a mask, like clothes? Or she's like, sure, I'll accept that. She didn't know that I have t-shirts in my bag. I opened my backpack and I tied the t-shirt around my face. So because I'm thinking, look, I'm in this line. This line is super long. This woman, this African woman is determined. This Gambian woman is determined to just, discriminate against me. No problem. No problem. So I'm telling you this to tell you that the way you might look at certain things and the way people look at these things in the places you're going to is different, because I have experienced it myself and I had to accept it for what it is. I had to accept it for what it is. I checked myself quick and I realized, nah, man, I'm not in America anymore. So some of you, once you realize, oh man, I'm not in America anymore, I can't use that privilege, don't be sad. You can still use the privilege, but there's a way. I figured out another way. Look, you have to be steps ahead. Don't waste your time arguing with people. But let me read these super chats here before we go in. MS Delta, thank you for the super chat. He said, Afridamus, I met some people from the Gambia the other day in Washington, D.C., and we had a good time. Blessings to the Smiling Coast. Thank you, MS Delta. Thank you. MS Delta is laughing. He said, Afridamus, you're not in Kansas anymore. Hey, I learned pretty quick. I learned in no time. You see? In no time. But thank you again. Let me give you a proper thank you. All right. So, guys, let's look at what is the meaning of corruption, right? And then we'll get into this conversation. Let me show you what Google said about corruption. The meaning of corruption. So here it is. The meaning of corruption says dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power, typically involving bribery. So they gave another meaning, the process by which something, typically a word or expression, is changed from its original use or meaning to one that is regarded as erroneous or debased. So guys, you got that right? So to be corrupt, the power have to be involved, and the whole 9 yards. So now let me play the conversation between Go Black and Mark Meets Africa, and then I want to hear from you guys. I'll give my 2 cents as we go. Let me read some of these comments before we go. Audrey said, oh, you mad? Audrey is messing with me again. Let's see here. Okay. MS Delta, thank you again. He said, Afridamus, the woman in the bank was jealous of you. You're speaking with an American accent, Exactly. That's what I suspected. So I had to kick back. So I don't want to upset her more. So let me play this audio here and we'll go from there.
Go Black to Africa. I thought you were gonna say that with me, Mark.
Oh yeah. I'm with that lady right now. But the conversation, y'all would not believe the conversation we just had.
Hey, so met up with Mark Meets Africa in Zambia. He's here. I was here. I'm here, and so we connected again. I think it's our 3rd time, 4th time maybe.
Okay.
Hooking up. This is my son, y'all. I'm trying to look out for my son while I'm here in Africa, because young man, 21 years old, out here fighting through the grimy grind of Africa.
Yeah, and there's a lot of grime to fight through.
Yes, there is.
It's gonna be like that wherever you go, huh?
So, our topic, because Mark's got he's got a very interesting stories that you go to his channel, Mark Meets Africa, that he's got, a lot of his daily life, some of the challenges, some of the different things that he is connected with in business he's pushing out there. So what's good, Mark? What's good with you?
Not much. We've been together all day. I tell you, one thing I enjoy about being around Go Black to Africa is he's a perspective shift.
Perspective shift.
He is. Like, I don't know how we both ended up in Zambia at the same time, but we're here, we're together, we're connected now.
Yeah.
And when I get around, look at them taking their little Instagram pictures on the side of us right here. She looks okay in that dress. But yeah, I don't know.
So guys, this is between Mark and Go Black. They're in Zambia, in East Africa. So I want you guys to, hear their conversation from, Black American point of view in Africa. And I'm going to add my 2 cents to give you some pointers on what to look out for, what you can change, things that can help you, change how you do business, how you develop relationships. I understand some people might think I'm a lot harder on people, but I believe that only the truth shall set you free. If someone really loves you, they'll tell you the truth. Why would anyone anyone that deprives you from the real information, they don't love you? Because think about it. If there's a ditch in front of you and someone decides, oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings, to try to get you to change the way, because it would be too like half a mile longer if I tell this person to change the direction, because there's a dangerous ditch there, and you go over there, fall in it, break your leg. And imagine that person, you find out they knew about it, but they were just being nice. They were just being nice, versus the person who would truly tell you to save you, even though you didn't want to hear it at the initial stage, but eventually you learn that this is what you really need. So that's what I'm here for. So I'm going to allow them to continue their conversation here.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I say this is the king of the continent. And anytime I'm around him, it's a treat. Because I don't know. It's enjoyable.
Well,
we have great conversations off camera.
Yeah, we have some great conversations. So, Mark, you have come across different, experiences in Africa.
Yeah.
And you also have had your goods and your bads.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them. Such is life, right?
Yeah.
And I find, man, you still trampling along Africa, where many people who've come up against some of the obstacles that you've come up have fled Africa, but you still remain.
Yeah.
Please share with some of you. Let's just share your opinion, your views, your experience in Africa that got you a little heated or a little upset or maybe frustrated at times in Africa. What's been your experience?
Now I'm gonna start by saying I think in recent on my channel, which you guys don't know, for the most part, I think I've moved into a more critical view of Africa.
Okay.
And I don't consider it a bad thing necessarily.
No.
I consider it just a difference.
I beat up on Africa every now and then.
And that's something I can appreciate about it.
It needs to be whipped. Africa needs to be whipped, just like everywhere else.
We can't sugarcoat it. And I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Sugar is sweet, but diabetes kills. We need to state the problems as they are.
If you can't whip a place into shape, it would always be the same. So yes, you're going to have those issues and challenges, but hey, it's all good.
See, guys, that's the part where I tend to agree with Go Black, because you see, when I see people talking about, for example, they have like this utopian idea about Africa. So I'm like, all of a sudden I came to the internet, I started hearing all these people talking about how Africa is this utopian place. And I was like, wait a minute. Most of us over here, we're trying to fight to remove a dictator. Some of us were trying to remove a dictator in our various countries. We're talking about the corruption, how these people are siphoning things. And then here you come with your Pan-African fantasy telling us about how everything is great. Like, wait a minute now. Okay, well, you would eventually get your African wake-up call. You will eventually get your African wake-up call. So I like that he said he is more on the critical side of things. See, you cannot be in Africa, especially like if you're not from Africa originally and you're from the West, you're used to things being a certain way. When you live in Africa, you didn't set yourself up, because you can set this life up for yourself there. You do realize this, right? That's the beauty about it. I don't know about other countries, but my country, Gambia, you could literally set up your life the way you want to. Like, you could be free from all that. You don't have to point fingers at anyone. You don't have to criticize the government. You can just create the example you want and people follow it. There are some people doing it, so if one person do it here, another person does it there, then things work. But you see, if all the emphasis is on the government people, I will come to that. It is very important to have honest government employees, don't get me wrong. But I will also explain why it is so hard to, get these people to be honest. In Africa, the corruption varies depending on where you are. Because the type of corruption I heard in some of these East African countries like Tanzania and others is beyond, those guys have no shame about their corruption, I heard. Tanzania, Kenya, and places like that, those places, Ethiopia, Somali area, those are corrupt areas, right? So you come to West Africa, like you would hear about, Nigerian corruption, but many of the reparts are not going there. But with Nigeria, you got to come with big money also, right? You got to have all your, wheels moving fast. You have to have connections before you enter. But now, this corruption that people speak of, I want to address that as well, because it is so easy for people to just say corruption. And I read the meaning to you. I read it to you. But I would address that part when we get to the part where Go Black talks about it. So we would hear what Mark have to say, what his experience has been. Let me read this super chat. MS Delta, thank you for the super chat again. He said, Mark is from a rich family. I can tell by his accent and rich looking teeth. Maybe he has been sheltered from the real world. Yes, I can tell Mark, is not used to this rough and tumble. His heart is in the right place, but he found himself in the jungle called Tanzania. And over there, those I heard, like, even I remember some of the movies or books you read, there is corruption, but there is also extortion. You see, there's a difference. But I don't want to do the spoiler alert. Let Mark tell all of us what his experience has been.
Good.
Let it be.
So
Take it as it is.
somebody said you still standing.
Yeah. I'd say Africa is just a trial. And if you look at it like that, and I'm not saying you have to come and look at it like, oh, everything it means something deeper than it does. But the one thing that's kept me in Africa is the idea that I know why I came here. And I think, I was having a conversation with Go Black today. And I think in recent, I've been moving towards the idea of we are not here to help anybody. And it's hard not to when you have an ideology that...
He got that from me, y'all.
Yeah. Well,
I had to convince him of that.
Yeah, because we come here, as diaspora, we come here.
Guys, if you go back and check some of my videos, my lives in the past, where I have said this, you are not in Africa to save anyone. You cannot save Africans. You have to save yourself first. You cannot save Africans. See, when I say this, Some of these people come and feel insulted. What does that tell you about the people that are feeling insulted? Why are you feeling insulted? No, you feeling that you can save other individual who is not asking you to do it. That's what the insult should be. But I want us to be realistic. I want us to live in the real life. I can see how a black American person comes to Africa with the right mindset, understanding how the people think. Like, don't try to play God. Trust me, those of us in the diaspora, Africans in the diaspora, there are many who have played God and continue to play God, living in America, UK, or wherever, 20, 30 years. Some of them, they don't even have, a single meter of land wherever they are. But if you ask, those same people do you understand how many people they've helped? They've probably been spending that entire time thinking that they are saving other people. But the money they are giving to those people are developing themselves. So when you come from America, like, you don't have it in you to come and save people. Because if you want to save people, there are so many people you can save in America. So many. So Mark living there in Tanzania, I think for about 2 years, he became a local. He understood. He's like, no, I'm not here to save these people. You doggone right. You're not there to save them. You can't save them, Mark. You can't do it, Mark. Let's let him go on.
And I'm not even gonna say diaspora. As people, we come to Africa and we think that, it's kind of our place to just like set things right. Because we see things that are out of line. And if we have any sense of order in our minds, we think we know how things should be. But really, we should accept them as they are, and we build ourselves. Because in building ourselves, we build them, right? Because we lead by example, right? They can follow that example. I mean, there's more to it than that, but the general idea is don't come here to help people. It's not your place to do that.
Look, I've said it time and time again. It is not up to you to come save Africa, to help Africa. Africa don't need help. Look, you tell me, does Africa need help? Africa don't need no god doggone help. What Africa need help for?
A lot of people. And do you want to mention the
what
fact
Africa
that
need help for? Africa got what you need. Where you want to be placed in.
Yeah.
If you want to live out in the village, live in the village. You want to live out in the city, live in the city. If you want to live out in the suburbs, live in the suburbs. It's the same thing in America. But more.
So, see, this is what I'm talking about. Go Black. He's grown quite a bit, right? Now he knows that he's not there to save Africa. So let's let them keep going.
Most people,
somebody said Africa does.
Africa don't need no help.
The Africans may need help.
Africans don't need no help. No, they don't.
Let them live how they live.
I'm gonna have to break that down for you. Africa don't need no help. Africa needs to find its own way at its right time in its own pace without people thinking that it needs help. All help ain't good help.
Yeah.
And you can enable somebody by giving them help. This is the problem why Africa is so far behind now, because of the financial aids that these companies were doing as a means to suppress or keep them oppressed or depressed.
Missionaries,
NGOs, all of that. It kills Africa. When Africa stands on its own 2 feet without the support, it then can figure out what direction it needs to go.
Because think about your own personal life. Did you get help when you were in a down situation? And I don't mean like calling somebody and, let me get some money. No, did somebody walk you step by step for you to get to where you are? And we come here and try to do that to them. You got teenagers building houses for these people and teaching them how to grow crops. What does that do to them? It disables them.
Those missionaries.
Those missionaries are ruining Africa. And we already know this, but yet when we get here, we may not be directly doing missionary work, but we carry the mentality of a missionary. We're here to...
Guys, he's absolutely correct. Absolutely 100% correct. those people that are coming to Africa, they're saying they're missionaries and all. You know, they are domesticating African people. You know, you cannot just hand over things to people just like that. You know, like for example, if you look at it, they are trying to introduce even these GMO seeds in Africa. Do you know what will happen? They will destroy Africa from that point on. Completely destroyed. At that point, even, you know, like people that are growing their own foods these days, they won't even be able to do that. So Mark, even though he's 21 years old, he's pretty smart. He has lots of wisdom and understanding for his age. You see, if you're young and you're smart, right? Your smarts can help you, but experience. Now, experience, you cannot fake experience, guys. Now, you have to go through it. Because you see, if you want to use your intelligence as a youngster, look, I'm speaking from being there. Being at his age, at a time when I was considered the smart ass, the smart guy. Yes, smart, but experience, when you lack that, and that deep wisdom, when you lack that too, you misunderstand a lot of things you are seeing. And when you misunderstand those things, you're bound to make mistakes because your interpretation will determine how you approach those situations. And Africa is a very complicated place, especially if people are approaching Africa first with the mentality that, oh, I'm going to save Africans. I am there to save Africans. So this is why, for me, wherever you find me, I never ever compromise that position. The moment when someone says, I'm going to save Africans, I always ask, what do you mean by I am going to save Africans? I want to hear your plans. I am not of these thoughts that, oh, we have to encourage outsiders to come and, develop and fix Africa. I don't believe in that because that's not realistic, you see? So Mark is absolutely correct. When you come, you start building houses. He's right. Teenagers, you see them here. Some of these church groups, you would meet some of these kids. You're like, oh, what country are you from? And you tell them, like, oh, I did a missionary there. I went over there. We help the people. We help build house for them. We help dig a well for the people in some remote village, right? So that's why I like bringing these conversations, so that, all of us can benefit from it and understand that some of these things you hear about when people say, oh, I'm digging these wells in Africa. I mean, like, if you really think about it, after you look at the pricing, it's so much cheaper. So this is why I say Africans are the ones that can develop Africa, because it's not only the infrastructure, the mindset has to change. The mindset has to change. So that's where it begins. But you cannot also force what you know. Even if it's good, right? You know the benefit. You are the one that knows the benefit. Don't forget that. For instance, if you have a Porsche, right? A Porsche car. Let's say you go to what's the name of the you go to like a jungle, for instance. You meet the jungle people, the forest people. Like, to you out here in the world, your Porsche is everything. The Porsche means everything. But guess what? To those people, your Porsche really is just this shiny metal, but it really holds no meaning for them. It's not a big deal to them. You see? So you have to, take that into consideration. Let me read this super chat. MS Delta, thank you again for the super chat. He said, ADOS FBA Pan-Africanists, save yourselves. Go to Africa for tourists and business. Don't get a God complex. MS Delta, you are absolutely correct, 100%. This is what I have been pushing and preaching about from day one. From day one, because I know that a lot of these people, look, the theory, when you come up with the idea, it sounds good. Okay? It sounds good. But guess what? You don't have a magic wand that you can just wave and all of a sudden these people see things the way you see it. Okay? And with the corruption also, if you look at it, how can you give power to someone? Like they give power to these policemen. And in some of these places, if they're underpaid, they are lucky. Some will go for months, they are not paid. But they have the power to stop people that they can, extort money from. So who is to be blamed in this scenario? You gave the man power for him to exercise this power, but he's not paid. Who is he there for? Who is he serving? Think about that for a moment. So if the government, because some would say, why do these people, these policemen, they collect the money on the road? This government that they're supposed to be collecting it for or doing things the right way, if this government is not paying them or paying them well, where do they expect these quote unquote officers to get their livelihood from? Let's just think about that for a moment. So the corruption corruption from the top breeds the corruption all the way to the bottom. So that sometimes it makes some people resent Africa, because when they come with their fantasy and they get hit with the reality, they start hating Africa when it's not Africa's fault. You did not take that into consideration. Oh, I missed this one too. MS Delta said, keep GMO out of African agriculture. GMO is a trap. Look at what they did in India. I agree with you 110%. 110%, because you see, GMO would completely destroy Africa if they introduce that. Like Bill Gates is trying to introduce this in Africa. How did a computer software guy went from a computer software guy to being part of promoting vaccines to now into farming? And by the way, this man have bought tons and tons and tons of farmlands, and he wants people, he talks about reducing the world's population. He wants people to eat bugs. Are you putting two and two together? The man is buying a bunch of lands. He's talking about there's too many people in the world. He wants to control them. This man has never passed up any opportunity that talks about reducing the world's population. I think if a man who is talking about reducing the world's population, if he is serving me tea, I don't know if I want to drink that tea. I mean, call me crazy, but any of you start talking about that controlling world population mumbo jumbo BS. I don't believe in saying there's too many people in the world or not. Who the hell are you to decide when is too many people in the world? You see what I'm saying? So I don't believe in those type of people that believe in stuff like that. When you start believing in that, when you serve me tea, I am not drinking that tea. So that's why Africa needs to kick Bill Gates and his ideas completely out of African agriculture. Let me thank MS Delta properly. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Make your life better. And really, it's that we're here to make it easier. We shouldn't be doing that. Somebody should get to a point in their life where they see their situation is so bad that they have no choice but to change.
But and I share this with Mark right here, is that we have to stop bringing this Western mentality as far as your life is harder. Who told you their life is not harder?
Yeah.
Their life is not, but it's hard for us.
Yeah, to see it.
So now we want to come in here and change it up because I'm used to having certain things, certain ways. So now I should project that off on you, that you have it harder. When I'm telling people, no, it's not harder. It's just harder for you.
Somebody said they need your money, and somebody else said
Yeah, they
Africa
need your
needs
money.
help from celebrities, not people.
They don't need
Africa
no help.
does not.
Africa don't need no help
Have
from
you guys heard
nobody.
the report that 20 countries in Africa are being banned from going to the UAE? It doesn't even. Well,
Yeah.
this is the thing, though.
Yes,
And
you know
remember
why?
the
And do you know
conversation
why?
we had
Do
yesterday?
you know why they're being banned? Because they did black people crap.
And you can't.
You're not gonna like what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, truth
Why?
is truth.
Because Saudi Arabia got tired of the brothers, and I'm not saying nobody else do it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we Europeans don't do it. Look, I know Europeans. I was told in Tanzania that from the immigration officers that Europeans come in there and they let visas lapse, and they got to go look for them.
Yeah.
And they run. But listen, what I'm saying. Let's not deflect on everybody else. This is what, when you know the eyes are always on you, you need to understand you can't be crossing the lines.
Yeah.
So what happened? Africans was allowing their visas to lapse,
Yeah.
and UAE
In greater numbers.
and UAE got tired of it.
Yeah.
So what do?
Yeah.
We canceling all of y'all.
For
That's
once, let's look at what we did. Stop trying to, because they do this in America, and I'm not saying all that, and this is going to be another controversial ideology, but
Guys, you see the privileged position I speak of? And let me tell you, I'm not saying this to take shots at anyone, even me, myself, that is speaking here. I do have the American privilege. But you see, I'm an honest person. I acknowledge it. Some people, they pretend, they're like, oh, Afridamus, don't say it because it feels like you're making other people feel bad. Well, why would someone feel bad about that? I'm just pointing out the obvious because, yes, what Go Black said is true. We know damn well Saudi Arabia and these places, they're not keeping up African people because of being African, like with the World Cup, because African people are going to overstay the visa. And the bottom line is it's just a matter of people coming from poor country versus rich countries. People don't want to admit to the truth. That's what it boils down to. You see, they're not blocking Americans and Europeans and other people from coming, people that have, money and they would leave. I bet you they're controlling the amount of Pakistanis that are coming because they want to stay too, and the Filipinos. So they're correct. We have to face the reality and figure out a way. Like, I've thought about this before. I said, so the world, like Africa is the big ghetto, huge ghetto, like Black Africa. So it is controlled how many Africans can legally leave Africa to make it to these approved areas of the world. This is why I notice they always, when they say what is happening in the world, they're talking about what is going on in America, Australia, and this bigger place. You notice they're not talking about Africa because Africa is the hood, is the big ghetto. So whatever place, look at now, even the European nations, France, all these European nations, they are now becoming smart. They know, like, look at their teams. Who are you seeing there? African stars, because Africans become great in the West. The white people provide all the conditions necessary for Africans to be great. So it's like going to the big hood and bringing out the talent. Even like Canada, next door, Canada. Do you guys know Canada? Their big star in this World Cup is a Liberian-born refugee. So Liberia, they're not only representing in the, like Team Ware, whose father, one Liberian from a silver spoon, and another Liberian from the Liberian War, from a refugee baby to a world superstar. You see, playing for Canada. So none of these guys. So I know some people might take this the wrong way, but none of these guys would have made it if they were in that country of origin. Look at Imbolo. Last time I saw on the news, the Cameroonians in Yaoundé, they went there attacking Imbolo's father and their family. But who should the Cameroonians blame? Because this same corruption where the people want to sell out, even though towards the end they brought, their big star, Abubakar, who scored against Brazil, but still, Africans have to start waking up and seeing how they are wasting human resources. It's about human resources, guys. That's what even slavery was about. Africa was willing to sell the human resource, which is now, a bunch of people, the blacks. How much talent does the blacks have? And now, 20, 30 years from now, even like 10 years from now, you guys see what happened with Imbolo, right? All the European nations, if you're not careful, they would be winning the World Cup. They would be terminating African teams with people like Imbolo, African-born children who were developed in the West, right? Because of, the dynamic of corruption that they speak of would push them there. And those are the people that would be eliminating, African countries. Which of those African teams can beat France? You name it. But majority, guess what? They're African born. Just giving Africans something to think about. You don't just think about right now. You have to think about the value. The value is in the people. This is what African people fail to realize. The value is in the people, the human beings. The human beings. That's who the value is in. So it's very interesting. Go Black Steak, I gotta say, is very interesting. It's very interesting. I think after traveling around Africa, his mind changed. Let's hear him.
Think about it like this. Every time something bad happens to a black person, we call it racism. A lot of the times it is, but not every time. It's the same with Africa. When we get some sort of backlash for the actions we induce upon ourselves, we start saying they just don't like us and they're against us. But let's look at the crap we do. Remember that, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, and tell them about the interview with the lady from yesterday, about the stuff they're doing in Thailand.
Nah.
Okay, not yet. But we do a lot of crazy stuff. You gotta, is this the tea? Oh, I see. I'm not special enough to get mine. No, I get it. We do a lot of crazy stuff. If you get here and truly realize the mentality that a lot of Africans carry, it's not always good. Do not try to defend wrong behavior. Wrong is wrong.
People are people. I don't care if you're African American, if you whatever. People are people. Yeah. What I'm saying is that, it's like brothers and sisters in America who go into these government official positions.
Yeah.
And then they want to cut corners. Yeah. Don't you know, fool, they're watching you? So yes, you're gonna have to work twice as hard, be on your best behavior, because what? They want you out of that position. Come on in, sister, tell people hi.
You wanna say hi?
Come on over. Come on over.
You don't have to, but you should. You could.
Hi.
This is
Come
our
on,
friend.
come on, introduce yourself. Come on. People around the world want to know who you are. Somebody said, "Oh, she look pretty. Can I marry her?" Ooh. I was trying to get her on.
But yeah, this is the thing. We gotta be self-critical.
See, guys, this is what I'm talking about. I want you to recognize your American privilege, because you see, like someone mentioned, DiCaprio said Motisa. So, Mark is from the Motisa tribe, but see, he got his own Motisas over where he's at. He's got his own Motisas over there. So, yeah, here we go.
So
Don't beat yourself up, but acknowledge what you
let's get
did.
back to Mark's troubles. His struggle, his strife, his strain.
That's a lot of ginger. That's a lot of ginger. I like that. Feel
So
that in the back of your throat.
So Mark, how is it? I know a lot of people just, they just tuck their tail in and they went running
leave.
back to America. But share with somebody maybe an instance that really was very frustrating to you, that really got you, man, to really maybe second guess your decision.
To be here.
Well, not being in Africa. Africa got 54 countries, but to be in Tanzania.
Oh, I got a lot of them for you. But if I had to pick one, the one that hit me differently than the rest, I'd say, was, man. And I probably shouldn't be talking about this on camera because this isn't fully.
You always trying to be incognito, man. Go ahead and tell the story.
Okay, y'all want to hear
I don't know which
story?
one you're going to share, but go ahead.
So we had an issue. We were trying to get something passed for the diaspora. And this was essentially like a pass permit, something. So because there was such a large number of us coming, we wanted to make it easier for people to come. I go through every government process. And this is the thing that people have to realize about government in Africa, anywhere in the world, is there's a bit of corruption with most of them, right?
Yeah.
And they usually, more often than not, want some. What's wrong with your stuff?
So he's about to get into the meat and greets of everything. Corruption. How the government corruption works. So you can follow all the requirements, but one requirement, which is the money, if that's missing, you're not gonna get it. Let's hear him tell us.
Can you make that a little hotter for me? Hotter.
You got a
Hotter.
microwave?
Not a microwave. No, they got the thing, the
The
machine.
stove.
Oh, I already drank out of it. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. And we tried to get a program done in Tanzania where, and I'm saying it without saying it because there's a lot I can't say. Unfortunately, you can't always put government people on the spot. It's just, they don't like being self-critical. They don't like looking at what they did. I will say that we got a letter coming. They sent us Go Black, they sent us a letter. Everything we went through, their process, all their stamps, all their process. And then they sent us a letter saying, we need to rethink it. We shouldn't have gone through with it. Somebody along the line didn't do something right. We did everything they said.
So different parts of Africa sounds like the shadiness with the paperwork. They are similar or different. I mean, but having all the requirements and then, like I said, something else is gonna pop up. That's because he doesn't have the right connections. He is thinking it's like America. Yes, they might write all this as the protocol, but are they going by that? That's what you need to be looking into.
And it still wasn't enough to get what we had to get done. And when you figure out that Africa is going to be like that in aspects of business and aspects of government, in interacting with people in general, it's very discouraging because you're trying to do something and you really want to do it. And you could do everything right and it's still not right because somebody wants, I tell you, I was in the immigration office.
That happens in America too.
It happens in America, but I never experienced it in America.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, the problem is here, right? Because you can only speak on what you've experienced. And I experienced
Y'all have to hold
The
off y'all
man-
questions. He's talking. Y'all have to hold off y'all's questions. So you have to sit around for a minute.
I tell
Go
you, the man in the immigration office, and I've said this on my channel, asked me to buy him a laptop. A laptop. He said, basically, I'm not going to do my job until you buy me a laptop.
Yeah.
Because you obviously have the money to do it. And I looked at him and I said, and I walked out. That made me a problem. Oh, you're not going to do it our way? And they'll tell you like this is Tanzania. And they're very proud of it. And I said, no, this is corrupt. This is not the way I do it. Let's do things properly and you can benefit down the road. But they want something now. And we were having a conversation about this. And it's the short-sightedness of Africa. And it's not to say that
Tanzania.
yeah, because I haven't experienced all of Africa, but at least there's a very short-sighted mentality. What can I
See, Go Black, he's learning faster and faster to differentiate which country. So he's saying the official want him to buy him a laptop. So that's what I'm talking about, right? So what he should have done, it sounds like he was living there for like 2 years. So you develop relationship, like find people, like find friends And, don't tell them your motive first. Talk to these people, see the person you can trust, if they are honest, and also if they have government connection, like they have friends that work there. So if they do, then they'll introduce you to their friends. Now that friend knows you because they know this other individual. They will be too ashamed to try to pull that type of deep corruption on you. But if you want to tip them, sure, you can do that, And if you look at the amount they make, no problem. I mean, like tipping them, I don't see that as corruption for the man doing a good service. You see what I'm saying? That I can understand. But being pissed off and storming out, like where you gonna report it at? It's not like it's America. It's not the same thing. Let me read some of these comments here before I proceed. Judah Empire, he said, if Africa was in better place, none of these Africans born in Europe or America will want to represent them. That's correct, yes. Freedman, Holocaust survivors, and Freedman lineage. Thanks, Afridamus. May Gambia be uplifted. Thank you so much. MS Delta said, drinking tea in Africa, nice life. Exactly, MS Delta. Just sitting at a cafe, just having nice conversation, having your own mortises serve you tea. And if the tea is even 1 degree, less hot, they take it back. In fact, don't put it in a microwave. In fact, I heard, some of them want to be so exotic. Get an ostrich. Get an ostrich to warm it up. That's the type of life you can have in Africa. Get a cheetah to deliver it to you. Okay, Ikofo said, Afridamus, they don't have connections like Prince of Nigeria, Dynasty. He has big connections in Africa. Yeah, it sounds like he does. DiCaprio said, he should have asked for a supervisor. Man, DiCaprio, again, you are speaking in terms of, American term. That dude might have even been the supervisor. You never know. So in fact, asking for the supervisor, it would sound like the supervisor might even ask for more. You see? Because why would this man even be so ballsy to even say this, to ask for that? You got to think about that. So yeah, and he might even be the supervisor. You never know. You never know. Out to Lunch said, someone tell Afridamus go black is from Libya. He's not a stranger to Africa. He was born there. Now, you could be born in the base, but that doesn't mean he was Libyan. Judah said, matter of fact, supervisor will even take you more money. Yeah, DiCaprio, what's his name? Out to Lunch, that's what would happen. The supervisor would, in fact, ask you for more money. You see? Brianni said, just here, Africans are utterly corrupt. Their worst enemy. Yeah, see, Brianni saying that too. But let's hear what Mark got to say.
Get now, what can I get today? And me, I'm a long-term thinker. So for me, being in a place where there's short-sighted people, it's a little bit of a friction. Because, when you have different ideologies, this is something you said today, there's friction there. And so when I was over there, it's like when I didn't care and overlooked all their negative behaviors, nothing went wrong. But the moment I start caring and trying to get things done, things go wrong. I say, and it's not to say there's no way to do anything over there. There's a way. But in the situation I dealt with, it was not the right way. People, everybody wants to get something. And I know I'm being very general.
Guys, please make sure you hit the like button, man. The like is free. Hit the like button. Thank you.
I see it differently.
What do you see it as?
I see it differently because you said the right way.
Somebody said not all of Tanzania, all of Africa. I haven't experienced all of Africa.
Right.
So to me, it's Tanzania. And I've been to other countries, and yes, I've seen aspects of it. And I'm sure I'm going to keep seeing it. And I'm going to keep seeing it. And I'm going to keep seeing it. And if I go to South America, I'll probably see it. If I go to Asia, I'll probably see it. But because I haven't been to those places, that's what it is for me.
I'll say this right here. Well, I say I see it differently is that, look, tell me Africa need help. You got people out here, man, who's making that bank. That's BMW right there.
We need help. Look at yourself. We
Look,
need help.
I say, look, majority of the black folk coming to Africa barely got enough money to sustain themselves. How are you going to talk about coming to Africa and helping somebody?
Yeah.
But anyway,
The audacity.
what I said, how I see it, is we have to understand how business is done.
Yeah.
See, we come from America where we think that everybody's supposed to do it the way that we are used to doing it.
Yeah. Big mistake.
Look, I had to pay a police officer yesterday, right? He said I made a turn on the light, and this is my fourth country getting stopped by police officers. And I'm gonna tell you, people call it corruption. I don't call it corruption. He said the charge is 750 of their, what they call it here, kwaches.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not paying 750 kwaches.
Which is like
I'm not
how
paying.
much?
That's about, that's
50,
like
60 bucks.
40.
So, guys, this is gonna be interesting. So Go Black now is African. So he's driving in these countries, right? He's getting pulled over by the cops. But you see, Mark said, this man asking him for a laptop and he's, sharing his experience. He said, it's corrupt. He's very upset about it. He said things are not going to work. Go Black said, no, he has a different perspective. You have to learn how to do business. So let's hear how, because you see, Go Black is older than Mark. So his experience and understanding will be different. So he would quickly be able to navigate. Let's hear how he did it.
$748.
Okay.
And I said, I'm not paying that. I don't have that. That's what I always, I ain't got that. But listen to this right here. Is that corruption? Is that the formality of how things are just done here in these countries? Because in America, just think about this right here. In America, you get a ticket, right? You go to court. You gotta take a day off of work. You got to pay a court cost and pay your ticket.
Yeah.
You then, because of the ticket, your insurance will go up, right? Because you're gonna get points on your insurance. So they hit you all different ways where everybody's getting paid off your ass.
Yeah. Everybody. The whole system is running on your payment.
But the police officer in this place here, in different countries, is like, we can handle the matter right now.
Yeah.
We ain't getting paid much or nothing to do this job.
Yeah.
But we can go ahead and do it the way you're used to in your country. We can do it that way. Or we can do it the expedite way.
Yeah.
Because look, I tell people right here, in America, if you want to get your passport, you can pay extra money to get it
Get
expedited.
it done quick.
Or you can do it the way if you ain't got that much money.
So guys, does Go Black have a point? It's right. In America, if you get a ticket, you're gonna go to court. You're gonna miss work. You will have to pay fines. Your insurance is gonna go up. So, technically, like you would pay a lot more. So, is that corruption as well, or legally done? But again, I'll leave it to you guys. So Go Black is using that logic that if you compare to America, he's calling the American system too corrupt. I'm sure you're not surprised by that.
You can wait the 8 to 12 weeks.
VIP system, you said.
If you want to go to a amusement park, if you want to jump the line and not wait all day, you can pay for the VIP tickets to everybody that's staying in a long line, or you can see, we got to open our minds up to realize that we want to call Africa corrupt, but we have systems in place. They will charge you more in America if you want to get ahead of the line. If you don't want to, even if you don't want to pay the ticket, you can go hire your attorney. They will take care of the matter for you.
Yeah.
These are things. It's the same thing but done in a different way. Yeah. So I don't say right.
So guys, Go black is, I see some people might feel a certain way, but he's right. Like, if you don't live in America, or if you live in America, you've had tickets before. I mean, I'm telling you, this part here, yes, if you can handle it right then and there, which you can, is better, because then you don't have to sit there, receive the mail, worrying about the court date and all that. So, yeah. So you have to weigh things and look at what makes sense.
Ways. The guy was asking for a laptop. Like, oh, you want this removed
Yeah.
from the laptop?
And I bet if I gave it to him, I'd be good and ready and done everything.
Do you know how many people do that in America? You got Sally Sue sitting at that front desk who's collecting paperwork. And she has to put this paperwork in a box. Now, yours can either go on the top or the bottom.
Yeah.
But see, you was wise enough to come in with some donuts that morning.
Yeah.
And you came in with some donuts. I said, good morning, Sue. How are you doing this morning? Oh, I'm doing just fine. You know what? I'm bringing in some donuts for you this morning.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I'm in a good mood. And you know what? You work very hard.
You helped me.
So basically what Go Black is saying is, you gotta pay to play, even if it's like a little bit, even if you gotta bring, cookies, whatever, like you gotta pay to play. Plain and simple. So Mark thinks he is in America. Like in America, you would have said, oh, let me get the supervisor. Like someone was actually clear, he said they are trolling. If he had asked for the supervisor would have asked for more over there in Tanzania. So why even do it? Doesn't make any sense. But regardless, I'll tell you right now, like this is actually illegal, like, because most of these police, if you record it, they're not gonna want it to be seen. So clearly it is corrupt, but they do it because they're not getting paid well enough, or in some of these countries they would go months without getting paid. I'm sure you guys have heard about crisis in some of these places. So you can't give the man a badge, the power, and like basically you're turning them into a legal robber. That's what it is. But they're doing it in a nicer way.
Yeah, I'll help you.
You know what I mean? And I come in here inquiring about my paperwork, or I've done some business before, and you just help me out on right there. Where do you think your paperwork going? The top or the bottom?
Yeah. And you know what? If you don't mind me addressing somebody's comment, somebody said it's still corruption. I think, here's the thing.
What does corruption mean?
I think what I would define
Please give me
it
a
as
definition of corruption.
is, if I may,
Yeah, go ahead.
when people say corruption, because I half agree with them.
The definition would be like I gave it in the beginning. When a government authority or some people with given authority and they are abusing that authority, receiving bribery, you see? So, like, you could say, like these people are saying they are receiving, gifts. But again, you got to weigh it in. Do you need the expedited, do you need to do things fast or slow? Because he's right about something. In America, even when you apply for your passport, yeah, you can pay extra $60 for it to be expedited, or you could just wait for the normal, 3-4 weeks. So that's the official way. But Africa, most of the countries, I don't want to generalize, they probably don't have a strong system in place that tracks all this. That's why this is possible.
It's essentially, you have a system that's put in place where there are laws that say this is how it's done.
Okay, let me pause you right there. Do they have those systems in place here?
I'd say on paper, yes. In practice, no. Right? Is that unfair to say? On paper, They say you have to go through this system, you have to do this, you have to pay this ticket this way. They offer you the second choice, the officer directly. They'll offer you the second choice. Do you want to just pay here?
I've been into countries where it's Ghana, for instance. It's
Ghana. I heard the police in Ghana, they are brutal. But that's West Africa for you, right? Victor Lab said, that's corruption. Let's be honest with ourselves and do better. I like the UAE better, where they have cameras and systems on the roads that charge offenders. Look, that's not a good system. We have that here in America. Like in my city here, in this state, most of these cities, they have these cameras. These cameras are so sensitive. Even when you're like, you run the yellow light, they send tickets to your address. They send these tickets to your address. So that camera itself is corrupt too. If you look at it, this is why those tickets, they don't report it in your driving record. It doesn't go against your license, because it's a hustle. They know that it's not accurate. There are some cities that have sued their city governments over this. So it's not a good system. MS Delta said, you can catch more flies with honey than sour milk. Sometimes you just pay and move on. Exactly. I mean, like, it's not even worth it to try to argue, if you can catch more flies. You're absolutely correct. Thank you for that super chat. Let me thank you here properly. Here we go. And guys, feel free to leave your comments about, participate in the conversation, what you think about what Go Black is saying and what Mark is saying, not just my take. Feel free to leave your comments as well.
known police officers take the money and don't write they don't even have ticket books for you to go to court.
It's known, but again, on paper. And I think it's all for looks, right?
We have not seen that formality on their so-called paperwork. In America, so I understand what you're saying. You're saying corruption is if you have a formality, if you had a laid-out process system of where you got to follow the steps in, and that there is no other option for people to utilize, and yet you move outside of that operation, that's called corruption. I'm with you on that. But you cannot tell me that there are formalities written as far as procedures on exactly the process of how things are to be ran in some of these countries, because there's not.
Yeah, for I think a lot of people that have never been to Africa don't understand that there's wiggle room in every direction.
And I'd rather pay the police officer than go to court and all that mess that you got to. Because like I explained before, in America, they're going to get you. You're going to pay the court costs.
Yeah.
You got to take a day off of work. Some of y'all going to have to lose a day's of work paid.
Yeah.
Then you're going to go ahead and have to pay an insurance company for that extra points that you got on, right? So my thing is that who really is the corrupter?
Yeah.
Who is the corrupter?
Yeah. And who decides?
And matter of fact, that even then, they have these police officers out here who are looking to stop people.
Yeah, but okay, I get what Go Black is saying, but but still, those police officers, even if we explain the condition, they are still being corrupt because, yes, they are put in a position to do this, but that is not their function. You see, that is not their function. This is why every now and again you will get some in countries like some of these countries, like some president would come in or some politician would say they are sick and tired of the amount of corruption in the system. They want to sweep it. But even then, I mean, I've heard like few countries that succeeded in fighting the corruption. But I think overall, it's rampant. Let's see here. Let me read some of these comments. MS Deltas, thank you for the super chat. He said, you're not going to beat traffic tickets in USA. Too much money for the government. Yes, you can never beat the traffic the camera ticket, because when you go there, there's no option to like for dismissal, but they would allow you to negotiate it. So the only thing is to reduce it for you, but there is no such thing as dismissing it. Like regular traffic ticket, sure, you can get those kicked out. Visionary of Love said, but that's not corrupt. When the $60 more for faster is official rule valid for everyone. Yeah, no, I get that. And I guess the $60 are not disappearing in a worker's pocket. You're correct about that as well. Okay, here we go.
Who might be what do they call it when you're looking just for just people of color or looking for what's that
Brianni said, Afridamus, you drop in the link after this? Yes, I will.
called? Police officers who are
It's
the
not
word?
prejudice, discrimination.
no, not discrimination. When you
It's,
are targeting certain people, you could call
Profiling.
Profiling.
Yeah.
So you got people who are just profiling,
Yeah.
stopping you just for cause, making lies of talking about you were speeding,
'Cause
talking
they're
about you
more
ran through
likely
life.
to do it.
Yeah, and then write you a ticket, and now you got to fight to prove that you are in the right and they are in the wrong.
Yeah, the corruption just looks different.
Corruption is totally different in America.
And all it
and here's
is
the thing. Think about this. Everywhere, every country you go to, here in Africa, everybody talks about their government is corrupt. You don't never hear Americans says that their system is corrupt.
But,
never hear
but here's
people
the
say
thing.
it. You
If
never
I
hear
may,
what?
when people talk about corruption of any Western country, they say it's from the top. And of course, we know corruption everywhere is from the top. But at least in America, the corruption, and this is what I've always said, and I believe it, at least in America, because there's petty corruption and there's high-end corruption.
No, corruption's corruption. That's all it is.
So when you walk, okay, let me ask you, if you walk into the store, because there's
Yeah.
corruption of the mind, right? Mm-hmm. And there's corruption of the monetary system in business. If you walk into a store and have to argue the price of a bottle of water because that person changed it for you, do you consider that corruption?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
But I think a lot of people would.
Look,
They'd consider
Look.
that corruption. Look at how this fits in the I just noticed they gave us the plates that fit the cup.
So Mark is insisting on the corruption. What do you guys think about what he said? I dropped the link and I'll take people in and out as I keep playing it. Feel free to hit the link if you want to add on to. But what do you guys think about Mark? What Mark is saying and Go Black countering it. It's very interesting conversation. A younger Black repart and an older one. Coming from different experiences in the different countries in Africa. So let's hear what Go Black thinks. He's laughing. Let's hear what he got to say.
anyway,
Small
so
details.
that's smart, but you gotta love him. But think about this. You going into a store and they don't have price tags on it. That price is only predicated upon what they want to sell it to you for. That's free game. Now, if it had a price tag on it and they're trying to charge you a different price,
Yeah.
come on now, how many of y'all go up there in Kroger or go to the grocery stores or some furniture store and they got the big sign that say $50, right?
Yeah.
But then you get to the cash register and they try to charge you $80. Which one you gonna fight for?
Yeah.
The $50? No, that's false advertising. That's what we
That's false
argue.
advertising.
Right? That's what we argue.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna stand by that price of that $80 that the machine says, you're gonna call that corruption.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, if you put it like that, and this is a perspective I think I like, because you put it in a way that is understandable. You're right, they don't have prices sometimes, but it's like you said, just like with the police corruption, it's known, right?
That's another thing where I've heard people say online, they would say, oh, we're being charged more because I'm Black American. I said, no. You're being charged more because if you're supposed to negotiate these prices, but also you are coming from America, you're seen as having a lot more money. So it's not because you're Black American, you know what? So the Chinese, all these other people you see thinking, oh, the Africans are worshiping them. Well, they seem to know how to play ball. That's why they're not having these problems, it sounds like. So yeah, I mean, Go Black is using the older experience on him on this part here. I mean, these things are written in these laws in these various countries. I'm pretty sure. I know in Gambia they have how things are supposed to be done written down. So uh, there's people playing by the rules, some are not. And if they are found, and some of these people can get punished depending on who's in charge. But it's a very, very interesting topic. And I've dropped the link. I want to hear you guys' perspectives too. If you want to chime in at any time, feel free to come on in.
Because now there's the example again, in practice versus on paper. The price in practice versus the price on paper. The corruption in practice, the corruption on paper.
Or the police officer stopping you when you didn't violate a law and say that you did,
Yeah.
just to try to get money at you. That's corruption.
Yeah. So is it any different when you walk into the store and you know the price?
Go Black is right. That does happen here in America. A police officer, they would, lie, write lies on charges. That does happen here quite a bit. So he's correct. Like, no, in America, if it like the cops, they would literally lie. I've gotten arrested by cops, lied on me, and I went to court and beat it. Arrested me, put lies on me, but where they made the mistake was I never gave any statement. I pled the fifth. So a man that pled the fifth didn't say anything. How can you write any words down and said he said anything? You have to learn how to plead the fifth. The moment if they say you are under arrest, sorry, anything you say from this point on can and will be used against you. I know this. So if you tell me you are arresting me, you and I don't have any more conversation between us. You can talk to my lawyer. Plain and simple. But yeah, they do lie. I've experienced it firsthand. Nobody's telling me this. It's happened to me, and I went to court all the way. They even try to scare me, talking about, we'll give you probation. You do 16 hours community service and pay $25. I'm like, nah. You see, what they do is, some people, that sounds so easy. But that's corrupt, because this person didn't do anything. But because you want to make it difficult, and most people, they take this plea. So when you take that plea, guess what? Now you got a record. You might think it's just a misdemeanor, but it is in your record. So next time there's a little bit of violation, oh yeah, they're using that against you, and it's going to become a felony. So that's corrupt too. But people are not going to talk about that.
And you want to get that price because everybody around you pays that price. You've asked people, it's the price. You've seen people pay it, it's the price. So when you get there and you tell them the price, they laugh and say,
America does that, man.
yeah, they do, but they're doing it in a different, it's not on a widespread.
No, listen right here. Look, you go over into a prominent area with money,
Yeah.
and try to buy a BMW. That price is going to be different than when you go further away than over place that don't have the big money.
Yeah, you are right about that.
But it's the same BMW car. Why am I paying more money? Because this area got the money.
But look at this. And this is the thing that America does to kind of this is one thing I can appreciate. Carfax, things like that. Now they're trying to educate consumers on what you should be paying. It'll vary, but it's not so much.
Guys, this is a great conversation. You see, Go Black is using experience, trying to use his old age on Mark. But Mark is pretty smart, because Mark is right. Yeah, sure. In America, the price, like, you can buy, if you buy the BMW at the BMW dealership, it might cost more than if you go to the dealership down the road. This is true. But Mark also brought something which is true, that yes, in America, You might go down the road to the small dealership, but you can get the Carfax report. The Carfax report, you can get this in America. And that's pretty important because the Carfax report, you want to know the history of this car. You want to know if this car has been in an accident. You want to know if they've changed the transmission before, like, has it gotten any bending, stuff like that. You want to know this, but in African countries, I don't think that's regulated. I don't want to generalize, but probably not.
To the point where you feel like they'll give you a range now. I'm sure at one point it was like that, but go back, look at how the direction of the states is moving. People,
Well, Carfax is
what do they
used
call
cars. Used cars. I'm talking about new cars.
Well, I'm saying Carfax. I just mean what is it called? Perceptual market value of a product.
Yeah.
You know the general price for something for that area and all this stuff. And what do they call it? Fair Consumer Act or something like that, where they want you to be educated and you can't really be taken advantage of as a consumer.
Yeah.
That's something that is actively put in place.
No, it's not. It's there so it looks good.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example. You go to a car dealership, and the demand causes prices to go up. Right? Have you ever been? I've been to car lots before, and looking for a vehicle, but everybody wants that vehicle, and
the price will go up.
That price is
But it's the
continually
same
going
for a
up.
house. But the thing is,
Prices continue to go up.
This is true. Like from last year to I would say till now, 2 years ago, when this pandemic started, right? The price of used cars went up, kept going up because they said there was backlog in shipping chips because they built all these new cars. Yeah, Brianna, you can call in now. You can so like the demand for used cars, went up and the prices went up. So they built all these new cars and they were waiting for the chips. Apparently, they said these chips are coming from, Taiwan, coming from Taiwan. So yeah, it depends on the demand and supply. But I like how they're challenging each other. I like that.
Up. But you look at the manufacturer's retail price.
Yeah.
It's right there. What the
It's
cost
right
of it
there.
is. What it should be what is the manufacturer's recommended price.
But go black, that's not the issue. Because when the price goes up, when you say the demand, that's supply and demand.
Yeah.
The price goes up for everybody. The corruption here is you look like you could pay more, you're gonna pay more. It's like more.
Mark is absolutely correct. I guess that's how the price goes up depending on who you are. But now, I'm surprised that Mark also has been living there for 2 years, like he said, right? Okay, so if you're going in these stores, if you want me, this is what I'll do. I'm not gonna try to piss the guy off or the shopkeeper or whatever. But if I'm coming there all the time, I'm gonna build some rapport and know some of the lingo. And if you're behind a local that is paying, if they say it's $1 and you hear it, and then when you get there, just crack a joke, be like, oh, now don't give me that white man price now. I have been here for a long time now. So charge me the $1 just like, and laugh about it. So now guess what? You are paying the local price from now on. But getting pissed off, complaining, like thinking, oh, these guys are so wrong, it's supposed to be this way. No. If people don't have prices on their product, guess what? They can even say 1 million. Now, you guys can negotiate. They're not forcing you to buy it. It's up to you to do it. So Mark is really, like Victor Lab said, he said, Mark is not street smart. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. That's what I'm seeing. He's not even figuring out, learning how to get around some of these things. He needs to learn.
individualized. It's specifically targeted towards you. The corruption over there, if you're considering that to be you know, the issue with that particular product, that car, 35 people want it. Guess what? It's higher for each of those people. It's higher for the whole, the collective. But when you come here, the tomato over there might cost more because you pulled up in a vehicle.
Well, I gave the example when I went with my daughter to go car shop, and they wanted to charge my daughter like, I can't remember, it was 14% interest.
Yeah, dealerships. I think I know what you mean. They'll change it.
But the white dude who was over there hearing this whole thing came over and told me that he only paid 5% interest.
Yeah. Was his credit better? Because now that's a factor too.
That might be, but then sometimes we already know.
Yeah.
We already know statistical data have shown black folk pay more for everything.
But statistics also show black folk had worse credit.
Well, that in itself
This is true. If your credit is bad, you know, like with this high purchases, yes, in America, you would end up paying a lot more because you would pay more. How? Because the interest rates. If you have bad credit, the interest rate that you would be hit with, if you want to purchase a car, you want to purchase a house, and you want to use the credit system, yes, you would be charged a lot more because of your history. You have a history of probably more likely not to pay. So in that stats, yes, more black people have, you know, low credit score. So therefore, if you want to buy stuff, yeah, you're gonna end up paying more because they want to make sure they get their money back and the insurance. MS Delta said, LOL. The shop see Mark with his light skin, good teeth. They see money. Poor Mark. Exactly. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Let me thank you here properly. Yeah, they see Mark. They see money. Thank you, MS Delta. All right, let's hear Go Black.
Is a setup.
Because remember what we were talking about in Africa.
Credit scores are racist.
From the UAE.
It's a racist system.
What did we do?
Look, credit scores is
black folk don't.
Go Black said credit system is racist. I don't know if I agree with that. Like, yeah. But let's hear what Mark got to say to this. This is very interesting. Now they've turned to the credit system. Go Black believes the credit system is racist. Let's hear why.
No money well enough.
I
ain't never had bad credit in my life. This is for me personally, and I am clearly African American.
Look,
and I walked around.
The credit score is like
I walk into a dealership. They say you getting a what's the percent? The good percent.
Credit score is like your GPA.
Yes, it is.
So Mark, you know, is a straight and narrow. He's not like a Pookie making excuses, right? So he disagrees with the, you know, credit system because he said he's never had bad credit. So let's hear more.
It's a bunch of bull crap.
Well,
the GPA.
You're right. It's
Why
a
am I saying that?
Created for in the favor of one people.
How is it that I got to compete against everybody around?
I am said you can actually beat a red light ticket in Seattle, Washington. Oh man, hey, write it down, write it over here. Let me know how you can beat, you know, you can beat the red light ticket in Seattle, Washington. Write it down here.
United States, my child has to go to these colleges and GPAs when my child may not have gotten the material or the so-called the same materials through the textbooks that some of these schools got, that now my child is at a disadvantage for taking these tests, the ACT, the SAT, all of these scores that will hinder my child getting into the college maybe that they.
No, Go Black, I don't understand where he's going with this. Taking the tests is, look, okay. I know people come up with different excuses and all, but everyone is aware of the test. You cannot be biased, you know, with math. maybe, if you say, okay, someone write a story, you can decide like, oh, this story that is not compelling. You give them a certain credit, but like certain scores, like most subjects, science and all, you can't really fake all that. So yeah, I don't know if you can necessarily say, because of racism, you cannot pass science or math. I don't know.
Want to go to.
I think I agree with you, but then this isn't a matter
It's
of
corruption.
It's inequality, which is a form of corruption.
It's corruption.
I think
It's corrupt.
if we use corruption,
I literally knew people growing up all the way in Gambia who they at the time came to America, never been to America, who took the SAT, because you could order it at the time. You can take it there. So you can enter the American colleges. And they blow through it. So I don't know about the cultural difference there. They order it. Remember, you pick it up from the American embassy. You take the test, and these guys, they score with flying colors. Flying colors. So I don't know about the cultural, aspect there.
corruption as a blanket term, then the specific instance that we're describing is this inequality. Because you're right, black people, and I don't have to tell you this, but for the people that don't know, in Africa especially, black people have been, and part of me says, the system is just there, and we just so happen to not fit into it, which you can say it's against us, or you can say we don't fit into it. Two different perspectives, because we were also talking about perspective, and three people could look at one thing and have three different views of it. So I think one way to look at it is, the system is in place, and we as black people throughout history, throughout whatever happened to us in the U.S., have been at a disadvantage, and that system never changed to meet our disadvantage. So we have to, like you said earlier, work extra hard. You got to fight twice as hard. They're going to be looking.
But who is measuring? I hear people always talk about this extra hard walking. Like, what about, it's like you work based on your ambitions, like what you want in life. Like for me personally, I'm not looking at, what the next man is doing, if they're working hard or harder than me or not. I just, work on the things I want to work on. Like, because all of us have different ideas about what success or riches really mean, if you really look at it. You see, some people just want to work on their own dreams, their own ambitions, and not focus on what other people are doing. So I'm that way. So therefore, I don't tend to use measuring yardsticks whether this group of people are working harder than me or not. I'm just working on getting the things I want to get. That's how I look at it. But I understand with the history how things used to be, where the law was openly rigged and biased against blacks in this country. Many people still want to, keep pushing that idea. They don't want people to let go of that. So I have two guests here. Let me give them a chance to speak as we go. Jude, can you hear me, Jude? Jude, are you there? Okay, I don't know what happened to Jude. Okay. Ogunwon Soup, are you there? Ogo Soup, are you there? Unmute yourself. Okay, I don't know, guys. If you're hearing, fix your audios. Call back in,
because they see you. You walk into the car dealership, they have a preconceived notion. This is a black person, and I don't always see it as like racist. It is a form of prejudice because it's hard not to see it. You know, statistically speaking, black people have worse credit. So of course you're going to look at them and show them the worst car first. It's not always right because that's not always the case for people. But it is to say that it's warranted and understandable as to why they do it. Is it fair? Not always, because I'll walk into a dealership and surprise the heck out of them. A young, at the time, like 18, 19-year-old walking into a car dealership with a decent chunk of change in his pocket and decent credit. And for them to say like, oh, you know what, let's show you these ones. I'm like, no, I want to look at the BMWs over there, right? And then we have a nice.
Look, here's the thing. It's anywhere. If you show up to a dealership, I don't get people who go to these places. You want to buy a car. You're showing up there. First of all, if you like, come there with your good credit and good down payment if that's what you're going to do. But cash rules the world. You see? I mean, if you have great credit, you can get it on good deal. But get your cash up. If it's only $2,000, get you your $2,000 car. Walk your way up. But taking on debt that would drown you, I don't know about that now. That's a problem.
Nice conversation and laugh about it. And I talk about how I know my credit, right? It's the perspective is different to somebody who does have bad credit, walks into that same dealership, and because they have bad credit, they likely do not understand the credit system, and they feel like this person looked at me because I'm black, when really your credit's bad. I can't change the system. We don't want to give you a 2% interest on a.
Mark is absolutely right, because like they have a set thing where they put your credit history in. Even if that person want to tweak it, it will be kind of hard. Like they did that back before where they put all these numbers in, like in 2008, the housing crisis, all those people coming out talking about, they gave them fraudulent loans. You went to the bank, you're the one that fabricated and inflated how much you make. You sat there, you signed all those papers, and then when the bubble hit, people start crying, talking about, oh, poor me, I was duped into signing this. I was fooled. I didn't know this was going to happen, but you signed it though. So at that point, like, nobody's fooling you because you signed it. You went to that bank, you planned it. You went with the realtor. You guys went house hunting, and you got the house. You did the housewarming party and all that. But now, when things didn't work out, some of these people, I mean, some just walked away, but others just, they're like, man, it's the white man's fault. The white man tricked me. But is it true? I doubt it. MS Delta said, I never purchased a new car. Always slightly used. Cars devalue the moment you drive off. Exactly. Bastian, is that you, Sam Seals? He said, Afridamus, did you get 17 dreads redone? No, I actually, need to, get them redone. They are due for, lock maintenance. I need to do the maintenance. I'm due for one. But let me thank you guys again properly. Thank you. Yeah, I need to, get my interlocking going, pretty soon. All right, we have callers in here. African, can you hear me?
Yeah, Afridamus.
Oh, yes. Is this Kidola?
Yeah, Kidola, man.
Kidola, thank you for calling in. Kidola, are you listening to this? Is Africans corrupt?
Yes or no? Africa have corrupted that in some certain aspect.
Mhm.
But some other aspect is this: is that Africans are not used to this type of hype media. What I mean, hype media is
Yeah,
hype YouTube media.
right.
Yes, this hype YouTube media is not what Africans are used to. By bringing a camera, continue shooting, hyping things up, and everything. Reality is what Africans really believe because we see things in the reality way. Go
Yeah.
black that is saying these things today. Go black is not really real.
So
Go black.
what that's what I was gonna ask you. What do you think about the conversation? Because Mark is, talking about how this man wanted him, this immigration officer wanted him to, buy him a laptop. And sometimes these things does happen. But what do you think about Go Black's take on what Mark is saying? Because Go Black is saying that is not corruption. Are you surprised by hearing that?
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Go Go black is not really real. Go black is just entertaining. You understand? Go black is not a real somebody. It's an entertainer, all due for his own program. Go black is one hand Hebrew Israelite. Go black is one hand everything. Anything that can entertain his own shows, that's what Go Black is really. You understand me? That's what I said before. Africans have to be very wary of these guys that are coming without you not really know who they are. You see, people in Africa does not understand the hype of media, the hype of propaganda, the hype of doing things. You understand? Okay, this guy that look like Happy Meal. You understand? What is his name?
Mark, he said, look like what? Happy
Happy,
Meal?
yeah.
So, what do you think about what Mark is saying?
He is saying the truth that what really happened in some Africa is some certain department. You understand? It's a certain department of Africa. Corruption is deep in Africa. You
Yeah,
understand?
because Kidola, it does happen though. I don't know if you caught it in the beginning. I mean, that point, I don't know if it's corruption. What happened to me at the bank, where this woman, like she just pick on just me, and the other people, nobody had to wear a mask.
Yeah, yeah. Because you see, uh, some of see Africa can smell who they think they can challenge them. You understand?
Right.
They will smell it in time. By just raising their head up. That's a sense of that. Africans are not. They can be kind to other people, but they're not really kind to themselves. You understand? You understand? The guy, I forget his name. The guy with glasses. That
Mark.
guy, yeah, Mark. That guy have been. It seems like he'd been in Africa for a long. I'm married for some few. One year or two, but he was. You cannot come to Africa with some little change. They started using media and YouTube to hype yourself up. You understand? You sit in a rural area, show you, oh, I'm washing my clothes with hands and everything.
Oh, he was doing that.
Yeah, that guy was doing. That's why I call him Happy Meal. You understand?
Oh, okay. So you know him.
I watched one of his program. You understand me? There one other lady that will look like Caribbean lady, American, but that will look like a person with real money who just renovated a whole big mansion and say the mansion is for diaspora. So it has a there there. So
So
what
do you think he has savior complex? Do you
not
think that's
necessarily.
what?
I
Because
think he have some complex that he can sit in a rural area somewhere in Africa.
he's in a rural area.
Yeah, so these guys are just in the
Oh,
rural area
okay.
trying to meet up with things, but by using camera to show what they're doing. Your investment might be $10,000 in a small territory. It's okay, but don't hype it up with media. It looked like a very
Makes it
nice
makes it look bigger.
man, look bigger, nice guy. You can see that he look innocent and everything. But Go Black is a really dangerous one. You understand me? Go Black
Okay.
is a really dangerous one. Go Black, Go Black is a worm under the blanket. You understand? That nobody really know who one hand is Pan-African, one hand is an Hebrew Israelite, one hand is something else. You understand me? You can see Go Black said join the guy statement just for his own show. He's far older.
Yes.
That guy is far younger. You can see.
Yeah, Mark is like 21, 22.
So Go Black
He's
is just using himself. Go Black is just using the guy to catch crews. You understand? He just uses the guy to catch crews. I'll tell your story, everything. You understand? So we have to understand, is Go Black kind of like an educated, is his program kind of like educational program, or is it kind of like twisted propaganda kind of program? Africans don't understand.
Yeah.
Africa don't understand the power of propaganda. You understand? Africa don't understand the power of this so-called hype YouTube. And because of all these things that hype YouTube, it's not only Go Black that is doing it, also other ones are also doing it also.
But what do you think about what Go Black said about the corruption? But he said he doesn't see it as corruption. He said that's how business is done.
Yeah, but because Go Black is trying to sell you two different type of parts, a story. A story that will entertain himself. We all know Africa. We all know Africans are deep into this notorious corrupt in part of their disciplines and everything. So what Go Black is trying to sell you, one hand is trying to sell Pan-Africanism. You understand me? Over there. So there's a statement, Go Black's an advanced guy, it's guy of 50 something. So he know how to twist around and sell this product. The other guy is far more innocent. What that guy is saying is true, but he also have to be very careful that he look very innocent. He can easily be picked out from the crowd or from saying some certain things. Oh, you go to the YouTube and start saying with this, with that. You understand me? You understand? Because they live in a place like Tanzania. What we really want from them is this: give the reality, don't hype things up.
Because like I've always had the issue when people were painting this rosy picture of Africa. I'm like, they are making it difficult to speak about the truth of what is happening. But Mark said now he's more looking at things from a critical eye.
That's why I like your show. That's why I really love. That's why I love your show a lot. Somebody say, "Oh no, Afridamus is only bringing out the truth." He criticized Nigerians. He criticized everything. You can see. You watch his show. You see, he's just talking the truth and he's bringing out the reality out.
Yeah.
Not coming by back and start say, "Oh, this guy he live in England. A young millionaire building this estate." You understand? Why the reality is not really there.
Exactly. Yeah.
He just hype up, and Go Black is part of that hype up, but in another way that you have to understand is far more in a total different level of not really somehow Pan-Africanism, somehow promoting religious kind of ideology also. You understand me?
Kidola, how come Go Black? Did you guys ban him from Nigeria? Why is he not coming there? He comes next door. But
you see, Nigeria, because you see this hippie that is going on, it started first in Ghana. You understand me? Because Ghana have soldiers of YouTubers who are hyping things up. You understand? So when you listen to some YouTubes in Ghana, you wonder, is Ghana Western Europe? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The way hype up things, free land, free this, free that, so the hype came throughout that year of return by YouTube soldiers of Ghanaians and everything. You understand? Some of them who are Ghanaians America pretend to be Black Americans also. They start selling Ghana in a positive light. You understand? Which is good. But it started there first. From nowhere, Gambia caught in. Gambia caught it from nowhere because it may be far cheaper than Ghana.
Yeah.
Then they start hyping things up. You understand? So in Nigeria, to hype things up in Nigeria can be very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Because
Kidola, this is for you. MS Delta said, Kidola, why are you afraid of a few thousand ADOS FBA in Africa? You are paranoid a bit. Why? Thank you for the super chat. You wanted to know why you paranoid?
No, I'm not. Look, I'm not having hype or scared of Black Americans coming to Africa, but we just about the real reality because the way they hype this thing up is like, whoa, I'm an African. I know Africa. How do Africans be run? You
Right.
understand me? The way they hype all these things is what is really confusing us Africans. You understand me? You running things out like sometimes they praise some certain things, sometimes they, sometimes they're very direct also. But which is, but just about the reality of things that we want us to show, not hyping it. It's just like Europeans don't really hype themselves up like that. The way,
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. It's just
yeah,
it's crazy.
the way African descendants. I'm not talking about Black Americans. Also, the Africans, the people have 1 point something million by hyping this up. You understand me? By hyping this up, which is not really true. So if you go to
What,
Ghana, the
one of
truth,
your Nigerian brother, he's like an evangelist for that.
yo, whoa. We don't really know who that guy is. You
Yeah,
know?
don't
So
bring.
what I'm trying to say is this: the happiness stuff. There are people coming to market selling things to Black Americans to come. That is good. Okay, market. That's your business. But the real truth is this: the reality of Africa have to be shown in real reality, so that when you coming over there, you will deal with it in a reality way. To hype Nigeria will be very, very difficult. Will be very, very difficult.
Yeah, Nigeria, that's a tough one. It's too big.
If you hype it, it will even bite you. You understand me?
Because
If
they
you
will
hype
be
it,
waiting for you.
yeah. If you hype it, Nigeria will bite you because at the end of the day, the reality will really come out. Because if you don't have really, where you going to hype really? If you don't have the real money and everything, Nigeria is not going to stand and look at you. They say, man, this your hype is what? What is all this nonsense all about? You understand? So that's why it's very difficult to hype Nigeria because it's too. To find your feet in Nigeria, you need to know somebody. Otherwise, you'll be sucking just into like a suck away. I just saw.
So I'm right. No, thank you, Kido. Let's allow Ogwo Soup. Ogwo Soup, did you fix your mic? Ogwo Soup, unmute yourself.
Demos, give me a minute or two, right? I need to look after my nieces, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna call back in.
Okay,
And
thank you.
if I should drop out the show, I'm gonna call back in, right?
Okay, we'll get you back in here. Let's get Rashid. Rashid, can you hear me?
Yeah, Afridamus, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Rashid, thank you for calling in. Rashid, is there is there corruption in Africa? Like from this scenario that Mark's conversation with Go Black in Tanzania, he's explaining his experience about the corruption. And Go Black, his take is not corrupt. If you compare the service, in America too, you heard it. Like, what's your take on it, Rashid?
Yes, sir. Yes, Afridamus. First of all, hello to you and hello to the chat, the people in the chat area. And the people are not corrupt. It's the governments are corrupt. We have to distinguish that. The government are corrupt. Not all governments. Some governments of Africa are corrupt, but not the people are not corrupt. That's the different thing. Totally different.
Okay. So, but what if he's dealing with okay, so you got a point there because he's mostly talking about he's dealing with the government officials. So,
Yes.
but there was many also, even including Go Black himself in the past, some who would glorify to try to, even when us Africans try to speak against that, they will be like, "Oh, don't badmouth your own country" or something like that. So, but now I'm just surprised by
you see what we Africans,
what is coming out.
We are really welcoming people, right? Across Africa, we are all welcoming people. That's our tradition from every country in Africa. That's number one. Number two, the African American going to Africa, they don't integrate. They don't learn the language. You will see some people will say, "I lived in Africa for 10 years," and they don't speak even one word of that language.
You gotta speak. You gotta learn the language.
You have to learn the language. You see now, this boy, what's his name? The Mark, with the green shirt. He dressed up like tourism. He has a bag in his,
he's been living there for 2 years. You're right. At least Go Black fits in.
Yes, the other guy looked like tourist. So
yes.
What do you expect then? what do you expect? I used to live in Egypt for some time. Then they will overcharge me, and sometimes you buy some fruits and they put the nice ones on the front line, and the bad ones
Oh,
in the
in
back.
the back.
So they give you the bad ones. They give it to you. So one day I bought some guava, and when I went home, they all trash. You see, then I
The
decided,
Egyptians, man. So the Egyptians are 419ers, huh?
man, that's what happened to me. Then I decided to
Corrupt
go.
those corrupt Egyptians. My
The
God.
taxi guy will corrupt you. So I'm just taking some example, right?
Yeah.
So then what he will do then is to have I decided to have one store as a customer. So I used to go there, know the guy, and then buy from him, and something like that. And I learned the language a little bit. So then I mean, I speak Arabic, but I learned the way they speak. So then that way you can fit in. But if you just are always tourist and you just buy from different places, then of course you will meet some people will overcharge you. But that's not a corrupt. That's kind of.
But if you look at it, like
Mhm,
the people that work in the government are from the community. But
mhm,
I'll come back to you for that
mhm.
for a minute. Let's allow
Okay.
Judah Empire to chime in. We will come back to that. Judah, are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Judah, congratulations on Cameroon beating Brazil. You
Oh
know,
man, thanks so much. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. I went on this Gambian site. Most of the Gambians are very happy, congratulating you guys. So you should stop hating on Gambians because
I'm not
they
hating,
love
man.
you
I
guys
know,
so much.
I know. A lot of Africans look up to Cameroon. That's great.
Okay, so Judah, what do you want to say? It's the corruption conversation that Go Black and Mark is having. You
See,
know, what do you want to add on to that?
when we come on this panel, right, and really want to sugarcoat stuff, it just doesn't seem right. I know Go Black has been to Africa, so most of the time he is now trying to saying, "Oh, those same things exist in America." Yeah, it does, but the way things are in Africa, right? It's not only the government that you see corruption. It's not only the government.
So you disagree with Rashid? It's
Of course,
okay. Go
man.
ahead. Okay, go
Of
ahead.
course, of course. In any environment that you find yourself in Africa, if you are not careful, even the person that might be showing you around might be cutting money from you. I remember is it somebody that went to Africa, and this person was roaming around with him, showing him around, and every time this African American wants to buy something, right, this guy communicates in a local language. So he overcharges
So that's
person, and
rip
then
off. It's not a corruption,
he
Jude.
comes around, let me finish. When I finish,
Jude,
you can
it's
go ahead.
not a corruption. It's a
Let
rip
me
off.
let
Hold
me
on,
finish.
Rashid. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Let me finish, right?
Okay.
When this person wants to buy something, he speaks in his local language, so he asks this person to overcharge him. So
But
when
that's
he
rip off.
does,
It's not
he
a
comes.
corruption. It's
Well,
not a corruption.
Rashid, Rashid, let him finish. Let him finish, Rashid.
so when he does that overcharge, he comes around and collect his money, right? And
Mhm.
these are the kind of things that happen. I face corruption back home, especially when you go home, they take advantage of you. This is the thing, right?
Right.
You better be careful if you roam around in Africa and you're lacking in one thing that will pull people off. If you don't have, like in my country, there's what they call ID. You have to carry your ID with you in every circumstances, no matter what. And most of the time, if you have an American passport, you cannot even use it as a form of ID in Cameroon because that's considered as a foreign something. It's not an
Oh,
ID that is recognized in
wow.
Cameroon.
Are you serious?
Right. So this is the thing. Most people, especially
So
Cameroonians that have American
Cameroon is
passport,
like they make it difficult to
right,
to
right.
to come there.
So when you come and you are showing your American passport as an ID, you get stopped. Say you get stopped over. You just came from the airport and you get stopped over. and they're asking everybody for your ID, and you pull out your American passport. Some of the time, the police officers just take it and keep it, and everybody shows their ID, and they are waiting
So
on.
what do you think about what Mark is saying and Go Black's take
What
on it?
Mike is saying is the realities, man. Buying a person a laptop is things that exist. Like sometimes it's not
Mhm.
only that laptop. When they say a laptop doesn't mean oh you have to buy a laptop. It's some kind of asking you what do you have to offer. Give
Oh,
what you have.
it's
That's a
Code Word.
hidden exactly. It's a hidden agenda. They don't say okay in my place. They don't say laptop. They say okay what is going on? What do you have? What is going?
So Judah, what do you think about what Rashid said? That he said it's the government that is poor, corrupt. It's not the people.
No, man, it's the people, man. Some of the time, the
So
government
are
is
you
not
now
there.
corrupt? Are you a corrupt? Are you African? You are a corrupt?
I'm telling you, look,
Are you a
some of the
corrupt
time, the
person now?
government,
No.
of course, I mean, every person, most of the time, right, the government is not there to
We
enforce.
don't say now.
The-
For example, you live in America, right? Let me ask you, Judah. You live in America, right? If you buy from a regular grocery store, or if you buy from convenience store, are they the same price?
Look, this is the
No,
thing.
no. No, no. Okay.
Once you
Are
have
they
a
the same
price,
price? Can you answer me?
once you,
Are
you are
they the
not,
same price?
if you own your own, if you own something that you are selling, you have the right to
Okay,
bid on,
I tell you. Okay, let me ask you the one thing. If I'm now selling a water in Africa, I'm selling just bottle of water. If I tell you it's $3, and you say okay, and you buy from me, is that the corruption, or
no,
you are selling the price?
it's not
That's
corrupt.
free
Corruption.
market. That's free market.
It's a free market. So what the free market these people are saying as corruption. It's not a corruption. I buy from
But
7-Eleven. It
look,
costs me 1 milk. 7-Eleven costs me for
yeah,
$5. If I go to a
you really,
grocery store, it's $3. So
you,
is that a
you,
corruption?
you,
No.
But Rashid,
you
what about the laptop? This government official
Yeah, that's why I
asking.
say government. I said before. I made this time. I
Okay,
made
so Rashid, you're saying that okay, the government officials are the
yes,
ones asking, but if you go to like someone's store,
yes,
you buying the water, they sell
yes.
it to you at that price, you
If
buy
they
it,
sell
you
you
don't
$3,
negotiate. So that's not corrupt.
it's
Okay,
not
I
corrupt.
see what you're saying.
Yes, yes. It's not
Kifa, sorry, Afridamus, look, this is what is going on, right? I have so many Africans in the Middle East. Guess what? So there are a group of people when you come to the Middle East and you're looking for a job, they don't tell you what kind of job you have to look. So they charge you money. I mean, it's so they charge you a certain kind of money so they can be able to tell you how to get jobs. You know, look, man, like I don't know if people want to come out here and say, "Oh, people are not corrupt." Africa, I'm from Africa, and
it's
we
not
are
we're all
corrupt.
from Africa. Look,
And
Judah. It's not we're
right,
all
you
from
don't
Africa.
want to come here and just say only the government. The government doesn't do things. The people
Okay,
work for
okay.
the
For example,
government,
I give you an example. If you have a mind, I
and
told you I'm selling this water for $10, and you say okay, you buy from me, and next door you find to know it's only $1. Did I force you? No. This is my price. I sell it to you ten
but
dollars.
that is your thing, though. There's
So you
one thing in
accepted it. I
Africa.
didn't force you.
But this is the thing. You have a price tag of what you want to sell your stuff. But if you are offering service to a people
In
that
America, there is a convenience stores. You buy different prices from one store to another store. That's their
what,
price.
where are you from? You from Somalia?
I'm from Africa now. We're talking about Africa. We're not talking about country. We are from.
What country? What country are you from, though?
I'm from Somalia. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, let
Um,
me read this super chat real quick, then we'll allow Ogwo Soup also. We have MS Delta. Thank you for the super chat. He said, "Why some Africans trying to, say for tourists that, as far as tourists are concerned, you say that is corruption is part of business, but then complain when the West works with African leaders to get resources. Be consistent." He is absolutely correct. If the Europeans negotiated better, you can call it that either. Let me thank him properly. Thank you, MS Delta. I think that's the point he was making. Ogwo Soup, go ahead. Unmute yourself, Ogwo. Are you there, Ogwo Soup?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Ogosup, what
Shout
do
out
you
to
want to add? What do you want to add on to this?
a whole lot, bruv. I don't know where to start right now. Shout out to
So
all the man them in the panel.
start with
Shout out to the man
is
them in the
there
chat.
corruption in African
But
countries?
you see, the reason I said I don't know where to start right now is because this, right? So because I got a business venture somewhere on the continent that I'm in with several individuals, and over the past few weeks, we've been politicking about the propensity for us to grow our business, and we'll be having this conversation as well. The level of corruption that's within the people. I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm not talking about any government officials or regardless of their arms of the government that they operate within. I'm just saying, in it. And what I'm gonna say is this. I heard what everybody, I think it's Rashid was his name. He just said on the panel just now about the same level of corruption between convenience stores in the West, the same level of corruption between African market people or whatever it
But
is gonna say.
Brian, wait,
No, what I'm
like,
gonna say
wait,
is this about that. What I'm gonna say is this, right? First and foremost, that example is dumb because when you visit convenience shops within the West, they have, let's say, like you visit like
but
like
it's in the government. The government. Let me read this super chat.
yeah.
He's right. Sam Seals Bastian is asking. He said, "Isn't the government made up of the people?" Which it does, right? So I don't want people to forget that. But
Yeah, no, the government is made up of the people, but forget about the government and the people in the government
Okay.
for now. Let's focus on the general masses, right?
Okay.
So you have people who I understand that they're based on hard economics and whatsoever. They're like the tariffs are higher and the taxes on moving goods from place to place is higher. However, you have a group of people who they are so selfish, they are so individual, they're so individually oriented that they can't think about the community that surrounds them. Every single one of them market women, whatsoever that you want to call market men and women, or black market men and women, whatever you want to call them, it's they complain about the government on the continent as much as we complain about the government, whether we are on or off the continent. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those same people will turn their back around, they will go charge a brother or a sister from their own community or whatsoever, even more than what they usually would. What's going on there? Than what they usually would if the prices were legitimate. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's almost like, regardless of their complaint that they make on the continent, it doesn't even count anymore. Why? Because these guys are just as treacherous as their government. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not even about the government anymore. It's the mentality of the people, the fact that people cannot even envision. They don't have a vision on the continent. They don't have a vision whatsoever.
So wait,
that
when
they
you
can't even look past their own selfish ideas. Like even when Rashid was giving the examples about convenience shops whatsoever, at least over here the convenience shops, they've got like rules and regulations that govern them. Over there it's not the same. In some parts of Africa,
No, they don't have rules and regulations in America. I don't know where you're from.
No,
but we don't have
in Europe they do have. In
No, they
rules,
don't have.
in Euros
They
they
don't have.
do have.
No,
I'm
they
talking
don't
about
have.
Europe, they do have.
No, they
In
don't
Europe
have.
they don't have.
They don't have what? They don't have what?
They don't have regulations like you don't. Government won't tell you to sell on this price in America. You can if you have your own.
I'm talking about
convenience store, you can
Europe. Are
sell
you
it
listening?
$10 if you want. If you want,
No,
you can sell it $10
listen to me. Listen to me.
for
I'm
one
talking
water,
about Europe.
for one milk.
Listen to me, Rashid. Can you keep quiet and listen? The fuck. I'm saying in Europe.
Brian,
What I'm saying is that within African shops, they don't have.
Can you try not to drop the profanity, because
Yes, I
that's
can say that.
ruining my stream here. Speaking of which, let me thank MS Delta here, great sponsor of the show here. MS Delta said, he said, we as Black and African people need to stop being naive.
Yes.
Naive about how the world works. Corruption is everywhere. Example, a certain famous laptop, China, Ukraine. This is absolutely correct. Thank you, MS Delta, for the $10 super chat. Let me thank him properly. All right, keep going.
what I'm gonna say is this, right? It's just the level of vision that our people lack on the continent. That's what I'm saying, bro. It's not too deep. It's just that the people on the continent, they complain about the politicians as well and the level of corruption within the politics scene. However, if you bring it to the everyday life of the general masses, is the same. Is the reason why Afridamus say, "Oh, the people are the politicians as well. The people are the ones that rule the continent or that rule their respective countries. The people are just as corrupt as those other people as well, because you see the level of burden or economic burden that's been imposed on the general masses from the politicians. Those people and the business owners of the general masses are imposing the same level, if not even more, on their fellow general masses as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or the fellow people of the general masses as well. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's just what it is. We have to call it out. So when Afridamus put out the title about, is Africans corrupt?
Yeah.
Of course they are corrupt. And that's the main problem. The people are corrupt. There's a culture of corruption that we have to swear out the continent. Even if you have to beat it out of the people.
So what do you think about Go Black saying to Mark, no, it's not corruption, it's just maybe that's how it's done? Because he gave example about America. I mean, the scenarios is explained. I'm not saying
first and foremost,
that's corruption. I'm not saying those are corruption, but I think he's speaking about the convenient fees bypassing. What do you think about that?
First and foremost, USA compared to any African nation out there is night and day. You know what I mean? We're not doing that. We're not fucking doing that, bro. I'm sorry for dropping the F-bomb because this is how I speak.
Mad
we're not doing
that. Man. Mad dog, what the heck is wrong with you, bro?
Keep quiet, Judy, Jesus.
You come in with a different name, you think we don't know your voice, huh?
Judy, keep quiet, man. You can't
let him finish.
Jesus. I can't stand this Cameroonian, bro. But anyway, bro. Anyway, what I'm saying is this, right? We all know that, what's his name? Go Black to Africa is trying to sell a certain idea in order to move his business forward. His business that he's got run on the continent, which is like pretty much people visiting the continent and like him gaining more traction on YouTube and attention and pretty much interaction on YouTube or social media and internet generally, just because of his channel. So he has to push out that narrative out there. He has to push out that narrative. You get what I'm saying? That's all. We all know that's what Go Black is all about. Other than that, man knows that he's tripping, bro. Like you can't. I've seen what you were. I've seen one of the in the video where you're playing between this conversation and the Mark, and Mark, I think that's the younger brother's name. Mark. He kind of pointed his camera out to. Was it a Mercedes? Or was a car that drove by?
Like a BMW that drove by.
Yeah, like a BMW. Talking about, oh, you take people in Africa are suffering, bro. Are you fucking crazy, bro? What are you talking about? Like literally, because of one BMW, so you're going to point your camera at the car and say, yo, Africans are living all good. No, my people are not living all good, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's pain, because I am here and I've got family on the continent. I'm not one that has the luxury to travel back and forth anywhere, like here. So, I like other Cinderella.
Yeah, but he's showing that people are rolling in the cars, but hang tight there. Let's allow Al.
That's some marketing stuff. But with that said,
hold on, guys. Let's allow Al, because we are beyond 2 hours. Let's allow Al also to speak. He's been patient. Allow him to say his piece too. Al, welcome to the show. Al, what do you think about the conversation between Go Black and Mark about the corruption?
Yeah, first of all, good evening to everyone. Good evening, Jarama Kotonawai. Jarama.
Panala.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, mother. Yeti Allah. Yeti Allah, mother. Yes, Bandirajo.
Jarama.
Yes, Jarama. Yes. I can't believe for the first time I'm actually going to agree with that clown boy. What's his name? Judah.
Judah.
Yeah, and Delta and the other brother that spoke. Yeah, I mean, corruption in Africa is rampant. In fact, there's corruption all over the world. Name me that one country in the world that's not corrupt.
But like, do you the way these people like the example Mark is giving, right?
Mhm.
The type of corruption that they are doing in Africa, like, okay, Go Black's argument is he said, no, that's not really corruption. He said that's how maybe, you might think you're coming from the West, this is how it's supposed to be done,
Yeah.
but no, this is just another way to do it. Like, what do
Yeah.
you think about that?
Yeah, they finished. We'll Go Black. I'm not a great fan of his job, but I don't think it's what in that it's as someone said earlier. It's basically trying to put a narrative, right? So we know we Africans, we know what's going on. From the market to the taxes to all the ground level in Africa. We know there's corruption, man. You can't pick it out. Yeah. So
Yeah.
people are corrupt everywhere. The reality is we don't have the system in place to police certain things like the West, and also basically there's no enforcement. And also in terms of pricing commodities, yes, of course in Europe there is things in place to make sure certain prices are not inflated. And also in Africa, most countries in Africa, like a bag of rice is priced.
Yeah, like in Gambia. In Gambia,
Exactly.
actually, to be like Gambia, notice, yeah, when you go to a lot of those supermarkets, already the prices are there. Yeah, now that I thought about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So these things are there. But the thing is,
But how you say
in
that's
Africa,
corrupt then, brother? How you say it's Africa we are corrupt?
no, but there is corruption in a lot of level, like in the lower level. For example, you have to bribe. There's a lot of bribery in Africa. You can't go around over here bribing in Europe, America.
But bribe that when you bribe, you want to facilitate things, right? Because
but that's still part of corruption, right?
But you are part of it. Then you give money to the guy, right?
Yeah, but corruption. That's what I said. Corruption
but
is
if
everywhere.
you say no, why did he say no? Why did he say no?
What is your argument? What is your argument?
My argument is that there is no. I can't say it's corruption. It's not a corruption. It's your own choice. It's not a corruption.
So Rashid, are you saying that this, like these officials, they're supposed to do the job and they're asking for a laptop, right?
Yes.
You don't think that's corrupt?
But you give it to him, right?
I think he's living
if you give it to him.
I mean,
no, he walked away. That's what
confused.
Hold on, let me read this real quick. MS Delta, thank you for the super chat. He said, when Afridamus and I build our resort in the Gambia, no corruption, 100%. No corruption, just honest, transparent, high prices for rich tourists. You got it, MS Delta. I gotta give you a proper thank you for that. You got it. See, people have to be innovative, come up with smart ideas, and be a part of the market. Plain and simple. Come up with a good system.
Yeah, for real. Well, the thing is, there's no system in place, and this is what is letting most of the developing countries, including Africa, down. Because once you have that system in place, then if even though there's corruption, it's not going to be as much as if there's no system in place.
So I think I understand what Al is saying. So Al is saying if the system, was intact like they do here, like in the States, for instance, then it would be much controlled, then there wouldn't be need for
absolutely
Afridamus.
Like for a small country like Gambia, I've been to Gambia. Gambia is quite organized compared to a lot of countries actually I've been to, where they have things in place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in other countries they do not. So it's obviously part of development. You can't develop a country without tax. Putting taxes in place and make sure everything that's going through the system is actually transparent.
That's true. If people are collecting laptops and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead, Judah.
You can have all the system in place. There will still be corruption in Africa. I'm telling you the truth.
But it will be minimal.
Listen to me.
No.
Clown. Calm down.
Hold on.
Be nice to Judah.
All right, okay.
Afridamus,
you're my brother. I will be nice to him. I'll listen to you, my G.
Listen to me, man. I haven't seen you for a while. Me and you used to go back and forth. I guess you run away or something. I mean, I know there's corruption everywhere, even in Sierra Leone.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were Fulani as well, but you even spoke Fulani today. So okay, that's nice. But this is the thing, Afridamus, right? Look, where I'm from, right? You get stopped on the street. You have all your documents with you, be it a driver. They will find one thing to hold on to you. I mean, things that don't matter, and you have everything with you. This guy actually filled all the documents that was needed in Tanzania.
right.
That was to tell you that everything was done. But what happened? They were asking him for something different, even though they came with a laptop. The laptop was just a name that was used. You can have everything in place. The system might be working, but African mindset is what is pulling people out. There will still be corruption no matter what. People are not
Okay.
paid. People are not paid
Okay.
Yeah,
their
Okay,
main salary.
guys, wait,
Affidavits,
guys.
affidavits. Let me
One,
respond to that, please.
go,
Let me
go
respond to
ahead.
that. What man just said.
Go
You
ahead.
see what you just said about the corruption will always be in place. Is because of what it's pretty much related to what I said earlier on. There's a culture that we have to break off the people.
I think it's your culture because you're
Do
Nigerian.
do whatever you want.
Because you're Nigerian.
Hey man,
no,
listen.
do,
But
do
it's
not
not
do
all
not
about
Speak
Africa.
before
demonize
you
It's not
speak.
about all
Jesus.
do not demonize Nigeria, not one population or one country. I
You
don't
guys
give
keep
a
quiet. You
fuck.
guys keep quiet. No, what I'm gonna say is this, right? Law and order. In order to break that culture of the people, law and order is what needs to happen. Like literally, if I was the president of any country on that nation, anybody, I would literally put a law into place that anybody that tries an act, most from an institutionalist perspective, that tries an act of corruption in order to illegally facilitate the movement of people or substances across the nation, them man are gonna serve at least 25 years in jail, bro. I swear down. But you see this, you African people, yeah, you guys need to be taught a fucking lesson in order for you guys to become.
Brian,
Mind my language, mind my language.
Yeah, please
You guys need to
do
be
mind your
taught.
language.
You guys need
Man.
to
You
be
can't
taught
speak
a
like
lesson.
that.
You guys.
And what would that
you guys
lesson be? What is that lesson?
That lesson is gonna be jail time, bro. Jail time.
Oh,
jail
you mean
time
like
or
in
jail
African countries to fight corruption?
Yeah, of course, it has to be, bro.
But
Because
Brian,
you have
that's
to
gonna be
you have
hard.
to
You know
block
why?
that.
You know why? Remember,
Yeah.
I always give this example, this video of that Nigerian official who embezzled that money, and they brought him in to explain about the money, and he pretended to faint. They were gonna hold him
Yeah, I remember
accountable.
that.
Remember that? So
Yeah.
that's not only over there in Nigeria. You know, many other
He needs,
countries.
of
You
course,
can
he
get
needs to
away.
be
You
serving
can
life
get
in
away.
jail for that.
Yeah,
He
but
needs
they're
to be
not gonna
serving life in
allow
jail
it.
for that.
Yeah.
Like even if you look at the topic that we were speaking about last week, about the footballers and representing their national teams whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like this man that are collecting bribe to let players that are better than Embolo
Yeah,
to get to the
that's
Cameroon national team.
Cameroon.
They need to be serving life in jail as well. Like literally, bro. Like you just can't, because of your personal interest, your personal selfishness, cost a nation that much. Like these people are costing the whole communities. They're costing set of communities, bro. Like literally, they need to be taught a lesson. That's what they need to be taught. No kids glove on them. No love whatsoever.
The problem is there's no
Law and
patriots.
order, 100%.
Africans are
Okay,
not
guys,
patriots.
let me ask you guys this before we close out. You know, we do the closing. So, okay, from what you guys have heard, so like Mark explaining what he's faced, what would be you guys' advice, closing statement on how to navigate Africa with what is going on? Like different countries, your advice to Mark.
Well, my point of view, I got to go anyway because of my battery. But the thing is, what I see in Africa, especially in West Africa, there's no patriotism. People are not patriotic enough. They do not love their country. They're more focused on their little tribe. You know, like it's just like living in a little bubble, right? They live in a little bubble, yeah. Instead of looking at the bigger picture, they're always looking at the smaller picture. But by the time they know it, the monster that's coming from the outside, to come and deal with them, they can't deal with this monster.
So Al, you think that breeds like being in your own little, it breeds like this sense of corruption, because every man is thinking, hey, I'm here just to, because in Gambia they have this saying, right? They have a saying where they would say, some of these government officials, they would say, hey, You know, the cow eats where you tie it. Do you guys?
Afridamus, listen, right? You know, back in the days, right, when our ancestors when we settled in those areas, our currency was trust. We all know that. You know, as a fuller man, you're gonna leave your cows or your goats. You can go out farming for years. You know that is not gonna be touched by anyone, right?
Right.
So you can, you have that system in place that is built on trust and
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Yeah, some places do have that. You're right.
I mean, your people used to look at we used to have like a system in place where, the Soninke used to look after the cows, but we used to look after your sheep and your goats. Yeah, so it was it's like a system in place where there's trust, but we do not have that anymore. You know what I mean? We're trying to copy some outside system, to adapt it into the African way. Yeah, it's not going to work because the system inside our country is so complicated and so complex. Bringing something from the outside to make it work is impossible. This is why corruption is there, self-interest. Everyone is pushing for their own little ways or their little corner or their little tribe. By the time you know it, if your uncle works in the passport office, you can get a passport. So even though you're not supposed to get the passport, you need to wait, but you can jump on the queue. Right, for example.
Is true. You're right. Yeah? So Mark is explaining the same kind of scenario. You're absolutely correct, Al. You're really right about that. Thank you so much.
That's all right.
Thank you. All right.
Anyway,
Ogwo, what do you want to say in your closing?
Before I go, you take care. You have a nice evening.
You too. Jarama. All right. Ogwo Soup, what do you want to say in your closing here? Actually, before you go, let's have Mike. Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Afridamus, what's up, man?
Mike, what's good?
I'm good. Yeah, it's a nice topic. The two guys, they had a good conversation. It was a very educating. See, okay, this is my analysis, right? This is what I see. I think you guys you guys describe corruption. You guys are describing two different situations. One is you guys are talking about the public sector where maybe someone that work in a government official, someone work and he's asking someone to buy him a laptop or asking for payments. First of all, those are not part of his job description, right? So they will call that corruption. You understand? Because you have to do your job, and it's against the law to do that. It's against. I mean, obviously, in the job you're doing, they prohibit you doing that. It's a prohibited thing to do. Now, on the other end, you guys are talking about businesses, someone increasing price and things like that.
Yeah, because Mark brought two-part series, the government part and the business part.
Yeah, the business part.
Like he's seeing that also as the corruption. So that's why, we're elaborating on that, which is a free market. Instead of being mad, you have to learn to negotiate and
And that's one thing. There's no in business. There is no such thing as a fixed price. There's actually no price in retail. You understand? You as a retailer, as a businessman, your goal is to become successful businessman, to become rich, to become successful. That's the goal. That's the reason you get into the business, and you focus on the law of supply and demand. That's all it is. If I have a 2002 car that's what in the market is like $2,000, right? And maybe I'll do a painting on it that makes it look cute. And you, after that, must approach me and say, Mike, man, this is your car. I want to buy it from you. It's I just love it. I really, really love it. I would look at your status, right? And say, okay, Afridamus, he has, he makes this guy, he's an average guy, middle income guy. I was okay, Afridamus, maybe I'll sell it to you for $4,000, It's up to you to negotiate, right?
Right.
Now, if someone like Bill Gates comes to me and say, hey, Mike, this is your car, I just like it. This is your 2002 Toyota, I like it, and I like the design. I really love to have it. I'm not going to look at Bill Gates and say, hey, Mr. Bill Gates, it's $4,000. I'll be like $4 million. That's where I'll start from. You understand?
Yeah, if he gives it to if he pays it, then it is. Yeah.
Exactly. That's
it's your product. You own it.
Exactly. So someone not coming to accuse me that I'm corrupt because of that. Come on, excuse me.
So what do you think about what Go Black said? He said it's not corruption as far as the government. He said maybe this is how it's done. What do you think about that? Like he
Yeah,
gave
well, the
examples.
point, it's corruption. The fact that it's not part of your job, it's even illegal. You in the public sector, you understand?
Mhm.
You on a paycheck to do a job. It's not part of your job description to be asking for extra money and things like you're not on your time. You're on somebody else's time. You can't do whatever you like. You can't just be doing that. If you want to be
So
doing
so
so,
so
it's
before you,
corruption. But,
yeah,
but, but
what would be your advice to like Mark or any other new, black person going to Africa, you know, how to
see,
navigate this type of situations?
what people need to understand is if you're going from one society to another society, first thing you want to do is go there to learn, learn, go acquire something called brain gain. Don't go there uh just simple minded and the definition of a fool, a person that lean on his own understanding. You
Yeah.
basically you the way you understand the words that you're leaning on that in a strange environment, or just you're walking around
And
leaning on
also,
just
what about
you, you
the savior mentality to say you want to save Africans? Don't you think sometimes that also hinders some people from being able to think and look at things in a realistic way?
yeah, it's unfortunate that mentality. I mean, these guys are gonna get a reality check at one point. I mean, these guys with this mentality, it kind of reminds me of Dr. Uma and all these guys. They think they have the monopoly of black knowledge. Black, like they see the black race from a black American lens. So everywhere they go, they expect things. Every black person they see to think like a black American, or just they lean on they're so self-centered, and they see the world from a black American lens. That's why you just don't like Color Genesis when he talks. He's, I'm like, this guy, have you ever been to Africa, dude? You talking like, you addressing these people. You got to go live there. It's different. It's different reality everywhere you go. Even in America, you in New York City, you get out of New York, go to Atlanta. It's a different reality. You know what I'm saying?
You're
You can't.
correct.
These guys, they got to go live on the continents, learn the ways.
Well, this
You know,
guy's been living there for 2 years at least. But Mike, thank you for coming in.
see. Well, let me really make one that
Go
one
on.
thing black was saying, just like kind of like doing comparison
Okay,
of
go ahead.
both
Go ahead.
world and so see that's a saying in Africa that life is not a bed of roses. There's no point a position in life where you always find absolute comfort. There's going to be negative and positive. So what he was describing is the negative, the comforts and the discomfort part of both societies, like in the African context, right? Okay, you don't have to go to the court and go through the losing your job. I mean,
Right.
missing
The
your work and all
process.
those things. You do you and the little police officer right there, you both benefit, but the system suffers, right?
Right.
But in the context of America, yeah, you and the police officer, of course, you don't benefit, but the system benefits. You understand? So it's
Mm-hmm.
how you look at it. So there's always
Yeah,
positive and negative in every
you're,
circumstance.
you're absolutely right, Mike. Very well explained. Thank you for coming in, Mike. Thank you. All right, now that was Mike. Let's have
Let me go ahead,
Ogosu.
man. And just
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead,
oh,
Judith.
okay, Jude, go
Go
on.
ahead, Judith.
all right. Look, see, when people come here and say, "Oh, corruption doesn't exist," it does, right? Especially the guy from Somalia. It's just, let's just be frank and tell what it is. It's something that is a pain in all African countries. It's not just a particular country. It's affecting every businesses in Africa.
That's right.
It's affecting everyone. Even in my own country, it's a disease. Even from
But Judith, why do you
primary,
think Africans don't want to admit to this?
because it just it just makes, I mean, it's undergrading, right? It's really undergrading. Even in schools, like, let me say in schools, like in one of the schools that I attend, in secondary schools, right? The principal is not supposed to admit more than a certain amount of people,
In the
but this
school.
is in the school. But that wasn't the case. Then we have a register where they admit real people, and then we have another register where they admit different people. and you get into
ghost registry.
the ghost registry. You get into a classroom that was supposed to be made up of 50 people. Now you have 100 people,
Oh,
and
wow.
they can sit down in. They don't have their own decks, so people are standing. So now you have confusion going on.
So when people see picture, they say, look at those African classes, poor Africans, overcrowded. They don't know there's corruption.
Right.
This classroom was supposed to have just certain amount of people.
Right. So they collect. So
that makes sense, because classrooms, you can't blow it out of proportion. So
exactly. So this is the thing. So corruption is like from grassroots all the way to even to the, like, it's not just the capital city, or it's not just the government.
So you're saying it's just the culture itself.
It's the culture itself. People are born with it. People are born with it. Like
they're not even wait to be trained. It's already in the blood.
No, it's already in the blood, man. Like what I'm saying. Okay, say if I get pulled over by a police officer in my country and I don't have my ID with me, it's the same thing. It's gonna take me a while to keep debating. I am the one that is gonna say, okay, how much are you? You want to? It's easy negotiation. It's easy, but at the same time, it's corruption. It's not. We should accept it, but is it good? Should people be doing that? No, because the system is lacking. If you have an effective system, things like this will not work. But there is no way Africans can stop this, because even in America, with a perfect system, there's the corruption that is happening. So there's no way Africa will be able to cut corruption, man. It's just no way. I don't see.
Hold on. Let's allow Chaotic to jump in real quick before you leave.
Sorry. Afdamus, let me just say my closing statement and go out.
Okay, you got 30 seconds, real quick. Go ahead.
Look, what I was gonna say, the solution to cutting out corruption in the continent, like people were saying, it's never gonna happen. I'm gonna say law and order. You have to be able to penalize people for violating the constitution of the nation.
You think Sharia law, corruption Sharia?
Not necessarily Sharia, because Sharia is a madness. I'm not going to bring Sharia.
No. Well, that's what. No, it's not. When Sharia means law, like when like in China, when they find you guilty of the type of corruption in Africa, they have the death squad.
Okay, you know what? Let's say this, right? Going forward, I think that's the best rule, because
they have the death penalty for it.
People have to be penalized, and I'm not necessarily saying death penalty. What I'm saying is that people have to get time in jail for that. So even if that's what it takes, you have to crack down on the people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Death penalty.
I'm not saying death penalty.
You know what? You know what? That's a good idea. I'll do a show about that. But
there could be long-term jail sentences for you. But I'm just saying that. With that said, people.
I think we'll go for the death penalty in this case, because
I'm not necessarily saying that your people. That's not the expressions of my thoughts. That's the expressions of Afridamus.
How about chop off their hand?
With that, I'm not saying any of that, but that's crazy, bro.
Well, okay, thank you.
I'm just gonna say this about Mike. Mike made a statement. Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. Mike said something about Bill Gates. Him charging Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates different prices compared to other people. I'm gonna say this in a regulated market, like most of the markets in the West is, you don't ever find that happening. If Bill Gates go into grocery shops, it gets the same level of the same price for groceries as the ordinary people. If he goes into a car shop, he gets the same, or car garage, he gets the same price for a car or whatsoever as the same price of other people.
He's the computer guy. He's looked it all up before.
No, you can get the same programs. And with that said, Mike put something in the comment section. He said something about in the chat. He said something about you have to be able to lock up 90 million people a year or something like that. Let me tell you something, bro. If it's all up to me, I'm gonna lock all of you up, bro. I swear down. All of your family members of the continent, they're gonna get locked up.
Put them in a concentration in a
helping our people to progress from an economic and political perspective. With that said, shout out to you, man. You love good night and day.
Thank you.
Shout out to Cameroon, shout out to Senegal. doing us well, and Ghana also doing us well in the World Cup
Oh man,
tournament.
I appreciate
Cameroon
it,
and
man.
Ghana
I
knocked
thought
out
you said
anyway.
Cameroon was gonna lose, right? You
Now,
said
Jude,
Cameroon was
I
gonna
told
lose.
you, Jude, I told you that Cameroon was going to beat Ghana. I told you Cameroon was going to beat, Brazil, rather.
Brazil.
I told you
Right.
Cameroon was going to beat Brazil.
Guys, thank
Yeah.
you
Oh,
for
yeah, you guys are
coming.
knocked out. Shout out to
Thank
you, Lord. Child, you'll have a good time, yeah.
Thanks,
All
man.
right, chaotic. Welcome in the show. You came at the last minute, but chaotic. What do you want to add about? Is Africa corrupt, and what's the solution?
Well, first, I literally just came from. I'm watching the SWAC post game conference, trying to figure out whether Deion Sanders will leave Jackson State, which I believe he is going to leave. So I didn't really watch your live.
Oh, you missed it.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I can just piggyback off of just the
Oh
title.
yeah.
Secondly, I just want to say soccer sucks, and thirdly, I just want to say. To answer your question about Africa, you said, well, it's corrupt, right? That was your question.
Yeah, like because
Yeah.
if you had watched the video, the conversation between
I've
these
seen
two
this
on the
video
screen.
before.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
so Mark was talking about his experience about the corruption.
Yeah.
Go Black is saying, okay, if it's not corruption, it's the way maybe sometimes you have to learn this is how it's done. But in these countries, in the laws, these police are not supposed to be doing this, which is why they hide if you try to record them. So what do you want to add on to that?
Well, Afridamus, you already know that I'm a coon, I'm an Uncle Tom, and I keep it real about the African diaspora.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the not you, Afridamus, not all.
No, trust me. Look, say it like it is. I know enough to because it's an information show.
Yeah,
there's a reason why the show is put out. Trust me. Don't even worry about me. Lay it out.
I got you. Well, unfortunately, the African, and we've talked about this thousands of times. The African, by and large, still lives in the Stone Age, and it, by the grace of God, and I thank God every day for the white man. The white man, his culture, his society is about evolving. It's about going to the next stages of development. Unlike the blacks, the blacks still want to live like it's ancient times. If it wasn't for whites, we would be living in mud huts.
Like, do you think? Okay, maybe.
Yeah, and I
like,
want to get to
why do some are obsessed with the mud hut? Like, what do you think the logic is?
The thing is that that's the only thing that the African can build. If you just look at common discourse amongst blacks now, what do blacks commonly talk about? Sex, drugs, and drama. And I would assume that's been the case for eons. Until we look towards the stars and we want to be a technologically advanced race on our own, then we're not going to have any other discourse but sex, drugs, and violence. I mean, the fact of the matter is,
but this place here is nice where they're at.
Well, you and I both know that it's because of the whites. I mean, let's be honest, man. It's whites, or where is this at again?
Zambia.
Oh, come on, man. The whites built this. The Chinese built this. No blacks built this. I mean, let's be honest, man. Why are we lying? Why are we lying, Afridamus, man? We know who built this. And let's be honest, man. If it wasn't for the
Judah, who do you think built that?
Afridamus, let's be honest.
Look. Hey, chaotic truth. Let's be realistic. Let me
finish.
Hold on, let him finish.
Let's be honest. If it wasn't for the white tourist, if it wasn't for pretty much white people, this place would look like Mogadishu. It would look like Monrovia, Liberia, if the white tourists were to leave. Let's be honest. The reason why Africa is corrupt is because blacks have not evolved socially.
So it's an evolution problem.
It's an evolution thing. Yeah, it's an evolution thing. And I will admit, I'm not trying to pedestalize whites, but generally whites are good natured. They don't need to truth be told, a lot of whites and a lot of Japanese don't need laws to be good. A lot of them are just good by nature. You know, blacks need laws, because when you take away laws from blacks, that's when you see the animal shit come out. And we've seen it time and time again with Africans, with South Americans who are black, with African Americans. I'm telling you, when
so you mean just say all the people from that same black factory who were even transported? So do you think they, like, you've heard Judah and others, Judah said, you know, the people come out corrupt from, so how can you curb that system if the people, it's like rotten all the way? I say maybe the Chinese system, the death penalty or something. Like, what do you think?
The way that you curb it is going to take an evolutionary event. There needs to be, you know, masses of blacks who embrace morality and who embrace intellectualism, whom, if the doors are closed, they will still do the right thing. And if you don't have that, you're just going to have utter chaos everywhere you go, man, unfortunately. And like I said, put it this way, I wouldn't want to leave $10 on the table in a room full of Nigerians, because you already know, Afridamus, they're going to steal it, you know. But if I left $10 on the table in Japan, they're not going to steal it. They don't need laws to not know that that's wrong to take from someone else. They just know that it's wrong naturally because they've evolved.
Yeah, it's I think if anyone can curb corruption in Africa, I think once Nigeria settles in, I think if they can get it together, you know, then the other parts would learn.
Afridamus, do you know why they put death sentences in certain crimes in America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they know?
Do you know why?
Oh, I don't know. I have my reasons. I would think because of the, you know, heinous crimes, you know,
Right.
the severity of the crime.
Right. Corruption in Africa should be like that, right? I mean, we should create a law, a system like that. I mean, even though people doesn't.
You think? What do you think about the law that he's proposing here?
Right, because look, in Malaysia, right? In Malaysia, you get death sentence for carrying drugs, anything drugs related.
And
Malaysia.
In Singapore. Well, then you agree with Trump, because Trump is, Huh.
So Africa has to think that is killing Africa. We take it very, very personal and make it a big deal, and put, you know, a big, put something on these people. Once you have something that they're gonna be scared of, maybe you can reduce the rate of corruption.
You can
it's not gonna go anyway, but
you can't. Well, chaotic. Nigeria. Mike said Nigerians don't steal $10. He said when they steal, he said $10. That's an ADOS kind of crime. He said Nigerians steal millions.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and like I said, one of the reasons why I think whites typically are more honest is because of their culture. You know, they have a culture that literally has evolved, and a lot of it is through their religion, you know, Christianity and their principles of morality.
But there are a lot of, you know, majority of Christians live in Africa.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter, because again, the white man had to give you Christianity. He had to literally force a system of morality on the African, because when they went into Africa, he saw the barbaric nature of the African.
You know, chaotic. I wanna do this. You know, I've been thinking about this.
Go ahead.
I think I wanna interview you. I wanna have like one-on-one conversation on all this, and because I've made video about. I said, you know, maybe some of these African countries need to be, you know, recolonized. So I want to have this. I want to have conversation with you, ask you, because also there's a video. They said, chaotic. You made a video. Said Nigerian women are not beautiful. I want to ask you about all of that too.
Yeah.
You know, on this channel. I don't know what day will work, but I would email you, because I want people to hear you.
Afridamus, let's be honest. the most beautiful women are Black women. But I mean, it doesn't negate the fact that certain Black women are not attractive. Nigerian women look like me and you. They're not attractive in most, in large part. They're just not attractive women. Now, Ghanaian women look good. Sudanese women are insanely beautiful. But just Nigerian women just don't. They look like dudes to me. Not all of them, but some of them, just 50% of them are not attractive. They just are not. I mean, they're not ugly. They're just not women that I would pursue.
So you mean so if you're looking for the beauties, Nollywood, you wouldn't find them in Nollywood for sure.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that your typical Nigerian looks like the Kimbe Mutombo, woman.
Come on, chaotic too. Don't come here and disrespect African women. That's where I got
hold on, guys. Hold on.
You come. Hey, okay, you calm down, man. Don't disrespect women like that.
Hold on.
Jude from Nigeria or African countries.
Jude, hold on, Jude. I'm the one that asked him. I'll interview him. We'll have conversation. Just relax, okay? Relax. Anyways, before we close out, Chaotic, what do you want to say in your closing statement, or Jude? Whoever want to go first?
Let me go first, man. You gonna let Chaotic Truth stay and keep talking. But this is the thing, Afridamus. Look, Africa has to come with laws and protect people from corruption. Is a bad thing. It's really a bad thing. And if any country want to promote corruption, they should go ahead. But this is the thing, we have to stop it before everybody gets corrupt. It just doesn't make no sense. Now, when it comes to colonization, right? I've heard some African people say they were better off doing colonization than what it is today. And some countries in Africa, or some people even blame that South Africa is far better off because the white man stayed so long in South Africa. And that's why it is better off. So they wish the white man has also could have stayed so long in their own country for their countries to be developed. That's African mindset, and that's crazy, right?
We should have a topic on that as well, because I've done an interview and I've said this. It rattled a lot of cages, but Jude, you're right. I don't want to do the spoiler a lot, but we'll talk about that another time.
Okay.
Thank you for
so
coming
much. No problem. Thank you so much, man. You have a good
all
one.
right. You too. All right, Chaotic. You see, you got, someone saying Nigerian guy took your girlfriend already. They don't know that you're of Nigerian background, but like I said, I'll set this up. We'll have the conversation, because I'm curious about, I know, most of where your take is on it, because like Visionary is saying, Afridamus, are you not an African anymore? How can I stop being African? How is that even possible? That's not even a good question. But you see, you got them thinking I'm not even African, but that's what's even gonna make me want to do this conversation with you more.
Absolutely.
It's more like a conversation, not even interview.
Yeah, like I said, I consider myself to be American. And you and I both know that the white man built whatever this building is right here. Let's cut the cap. Let's stop. Afridamus, you are an intelligent individual, and we need more people like you. And what I could say is this, sir, and this is my closing note to anybody who's listening. Thank God that the white man civilized the Western Hemisphere. If it was not for the white man, you would be living in mud huts, beating on drums, and chucking spears at each other. Thank God that you have import exports, that you have roads, highways. Thank God that you have hospitals, courts, police stations. Because if it were not for him, that white man, you would be living in the damn jungle. And that's the damn truth. And every time I get so mad when people disrespect and downplay the white man and his achievements. I'm not trying to pedestalize these people. I'm just keeping it real. There is no hope. The only hope for the African is for the African to move to the Western Hemisphere and be around white folk. Let's be honest.
Man.
Let's be honest, man. Let's be honest. Man, ain't nobody trying to move around no niggas. Let's be honest, man. Afridamus, come on, man. Everybody, Afridamus, when people get money, where do they run to? They run right around white folk.
But but black folks are moving to Africa though.
Oh, please. They're moving there because I'll tell you why they're moving to Ghana. You see, a lot of African Americans, what happens is that they get indoctrinated with this Pan-African bullshit that's taught in these universities in America. So they start wearing the dashikis. They don't shave their underarms. They start buying drums, and
they become hippies.
They become a bastardized version of what they think Africa is. So they become black hippies. So then a lot of them, when they move to Ghana, when they move to Senegal or whatever, they get there and they see that it's not really like the Erykah Badu music videos that they saw with all this African bullshit made up stuff. And a lot of them regret moving there. And then they want to they want to come right back to the States. Let's cut the cap. Nobody wants to live around niggas. And there's nothing wrong with look, Afridamus, you know who Deion Sanders is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Deion Sanders, sir. I don't know if I don't know when you moved to America, but in the 90s.
Yeah, when he was still playing.
Yeah, when in the 90s, and a lot of people don't know this who are real young, Deion Sanders was probably just as famous as Michael Jackson in the 90s. Deion Sanders started coaching for Jackson State, and he said all that bullshit about HBCUs. As soon as a white university offered him a contract, he's out. Today is his last day.
Because he went and learned what's over there at the black school.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be at that poor black school. He wants to be around white folk. Even though he's damn near 60, he want to be on the college campus and see pretty white girls walking up and down the campus. That's what he wants.
Oh, man.
Those black boys that play for him, they want to go to a campus and be around white girls. How do I know this, Afridamus? Because I went to a historically white college. And I can tell you, all that pro-black shit goes out the window when Becky comes walking around. Stop. Go ahead.
One of I took African American studies before one of my professor. He used to wear one of those kufis, and he talked pro-black. And then I met his wife. I saw his wife. She's a professor too. She's a white woman, blonde hair. He was talking all that. I mean, it's literally like the movie, like we see in the movie. What is it? What's the movie called again? With the pro-black.
Don't Be a Menace to South.
Yeah. He dressed like that. It's almost like they've written that about him. Like when he speak, you would think it's Dr. Umar, but
Afridamus. When I was in college, and I majored in a multiplicity of majors, and one of them was African Studies, my good sir. I had the same type of college professors. I had one professor.
The Afrocentric ones.
Oh no, I had a Senegalese professor from Senegal.
Oh boy,
blacker. I mean, literally blacker than your hat. You're wearing a hat, right? I'm just making sure.
Right.
Blacker than your hat. Married to a Japanese woman, but he was talking all that black shit. I had another professor married to a white woman. Had another professor, African American. He talked all that black shit. Talked about blacks are oppressed. He had a mansion living around white folk. In this college town. So the fact, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Before we close, do you think, now that do you think, what's the future look like? Do you think Dr. Umar is moving to a white suburb, or he's going to be moving to Africa with, his queens? Where do you see this future? Because you talk about the white, is he moving?
We already know where Dr. Umar lives. Dr. Umar lives around white folk now. Let's be honest. He lives around white people now. This is all a money bet. This is all a money scheme for him. This is the only thing that he can do. So he makes money race baiting. And so do a lot of other people. Deion Sanders, again, going back to him, talked all that HBCU bullshit. And like I said, he's going to go to a white institution now. If whites are so bad, why are you going to a white institution? Because black people love white folks. White folks.
So the white ice is still colder. Oh,
it's not just colder, Afridamus. It's just that whites have a better way of their civilization is better. And that's the truth. Nobody wants to live like ancient Africans with plates in your lip.
But all Africans don't live like that.
I know, but what I'm saying is that if you take away whites, it will become that again. Look what happened with Liberia. Look at the shithole Liberia is. Because when the whites leave, it goes into chaos. Look at South Africa. Look, there is, I think they say 90% of those skyscrapers are vacant now.
Where?
Because in South Africa, in Johannesburg, you can look it up. I swear, you can look it up. And it's because the blacks don't know how to maintain the infrastructure. Because they didn't naturally build the skyscrapers. It was the white man who built the skyscrapers. I'm not trying to knock our people.
Well, in Africa, people are not too fond of skyscrapers.
Yeah, because our brain, because we never built it naturally. The skyscraper is a representation of the best at architecture, at infrastructure.
Okay, Sam Sebastian put a super chat here. He said, Afridamus, for clarification purposes, ask your guest if he's a Nigerian or a FBA.
I'm neither. I'm an American.
Sam Seals, you got your answer. He's an American.
I'm an American. I don't identify with skin tone anymore. I don't identify with that. I identify with being an American. I identify with being a citizen, a resident of the greatest country on the planet. It is my duty as an American to not only believe that I'm superior, but it's to implement my superiority on the world because I am an American. And it's a shame, Afridamus, that so many blacks, especially ADOS, they disrespect the flag. They disrespect the country. They disrespect the very military that's keeping their black asses safe. A lot of these FBAs, a lot of these Dr. Umars couldn't exist in Saudi Arabia. They couldn't exist in Mexico. There ain't no Black Lives Matter in Argentina.
Oh, they don't. They got rid of their blacks.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about those movements. So like I said before, Afridamus, black people should be counting their lucky stars that the white man has provided this beautiful civilization for them.
So you think these guys moving to Africa, they're making a mistake here, go black, or it's just a
they must have a death wish or something. I mean,
a death wish. Why?
Either they're mentally ill or they must have a death wish. Why would you want to go live in a third world country? Why would you want to go live in a third world continent? Why would you want to go live around these people? Afridamus, listen, I don't want to live around niggas. I want to live around white folk. I want to wake up and there's white women walking down the street with their little poodles in the morning.
You don't trust blacks?
It's not that I no, sir. It's not that I don't trust blacks. Trust me, I love blacks, but I want to live in a civilized environment, my good sir. And time again, it's been proven that it's not civilized in Africa. It's just not. I don't know why we play games here every year, my good sir.
You know what? Chaotic. I'll have to bring you specially and have this conversation.
Yeah.
Because because I think some of the the brothers from Africa, the sisters all over, they're gonna want to call in, but we can't do another whole hour. But I would get you. I would email you so we can have this conversation for sure.
Absolutely, sir.
Chaotic, what do you want to say to the people before you close out here?
Get on your hands and knees and thank God for the white man. in his civilization. That's what I want to say to everybody in the chat.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Afridamus.
All right. Guys, that was chaotic. That brings us to the end of the show. I'm going to do the part 2 on this one. Let me make sure I know where we stopped on 2947. But that was chaotic. You know, let's see. Sam Seals. Let me read some of this comment before we close out here. Sam Seals said, "You're not American when your parents and grandparents was born in a different country." Sam Seals is responding to chaotic there. Let me thank Sam Seals for those super chats here. Thank you very much. And Visionary of Love wanted to know if Afridamus is, are you African? No, yes, I am definitely. I can't stop being African. How is that even possible? It's not even possible, ladies and gentlemen. But guys, the show is good, but I gotta come to an end. Closing here, 3 hours, 20 minutes. Please make sure you like this video, like it, and feel free to leave your comment. I'll be looking for your comments in the comment section for those of you that will be coming and watching during replay. Your comments are very much welcome here, just so you know. Okay? Don't be a stranger. I will see you guys here tomorrow. All right? Let's see. Until next time, I will see you guys again. I'm out.